novel audiobook. Explore our playlist for more captivating novels, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 21. There is only so much fear, nothing more. When Butler Wu left, he still said hello to Yun Miao and once again asked Yun Miao to help take care of Feng Chengyuan. Only after getting Yun Miao's assurance did he leave with peace of mind. Yun Miao was busy in the flower garden for a while. After briefly checking the condition of the seedlings, he prepared to go back and look for something suitable for caring for flowers and plants on the star web. Thinking of Butler Wu asking him to help take care of Feng Chengyuan, Yun Miao hesitated for a moment, but still decided to go upstairs to find Feng Chengyuan. After searching the first and second floors and not finding anyone, Yun Miao looked up at the third floor which he had never been to, and then walked up the stairs. There are 2 guest rooms on the third floor, a spacious exercise room, an audiovisual room, and a beautiful-looking sunroom, where Feng Chengyuan is reading quietly. Hearing footsteps, Feng Chengyuan looked up, and when he saw it was Yun Miao, he didn't say anything and looked down again. "Admiral, it's almost noon. I'm going to make lunch. Do you want to eat anything? I can make it together." It was Yun Miao's first time to be alone with Feng Chengyuan, so she couldn't help feeling a little nervous. Feng Chengyuan paused while flipping through the book, and just when Yun Miao thought he would refuse, he spoke in his magnetic, deep voice and listed a few fairly ordinary dishes. For some reason, Yun Miao felt as if something suddenly settled in his heart, and the uneasy feeling he had just felt disappeared a lot. "Then wait a moment, I'll be done soon." Yun Miao responded with a smile, then turned around and prepared to go downstairs, but just as he took a step, he was stopped by Feng Chengyuan. "Come here for a moment." Yun Miao turned around in surprise and looked at Feng Chengyuan in confusion. "Is there anything else, Admiral? Come here." Feng Chengyuan's expression was calm and his tone sounded very indifferent. Although Yun Miao didn't understand why Feng Chengyuan called him, he still walked to his side. Feng Chengyuan glanced at the chair in front of him, and Yun Miao immediately understood and sat down obediently, with his hands on his knees, looking very well behaved. Feng Chengyuan was satisfied with her reaction, but at the same time, he inexplicably found it a little funny. "Are you afraid of me?" Feng Chengyuan opened his mouth and asked the question that was in his mind. Yun Miao's head began to shake like a rattle. No. Just looking at Feng Chengyuan's sharp eyes, Yun Miao suddenly changed his tone and smiled awkwardly. "It's not much, just a little bit, maybe I'm just shy of strangers." As Yun Miao spoke, he stretched out his thumb and index finger and pinched out a little distance, indicating that that was all, no more. Feng Chengyuan looked at Yun Miao's reaction, and suddenly felt that those little actions and expressions all revealed a fresh feeling, which made him relax unconsciously, and the corners of his lips rose slightly, but Feng Chengyuan soon noticed his change and immediately suppressed it. "Your marriage to me is real and valid, although it is only in name only. But you don't need to be so reserved here, and I won't do anything to you, so you don't have to be afraid of me." Feng Chengyuan's tone was calm, as if he was talking about how nice the weather was today, but Yun Miao was extremely surprised. "Is this to soothe me?" Yun Miao was secretly complaining in his heart. And General Feng said a lot of things at once. This should be the most words he said since we got to know each other, right? Why do I suddenly feel touched? Seeing Feng Chengyuan still looking at him, Yun Miao nodded and said, "Yes, I'll remember that." "Just remember it." Feng Chengyuan stopped talking, lowered his head again and started reading the book in his hand, ignoring Yun Miao. "Yun Miao, is it too late to take back the emotion I just felt?" "Forget it, I won't bother with a patient." Lord Yun Miao thought a lot and stood up to leave. Suddenly, he remembered that the Yun family came to see him in the morning, so he turned around and spoke to Feng Chengyuan. "Someone from the Yun family came this morning and wanted to ask the Admiral for help." "Help?" Feng Chengyuan raised his eyebrows slightly, as if he had some guesses in his mind. Sure enough, Yun Miao continued, "Yun Hao wants the Admiral to help him and ask Master Lang from the 7th Legion to debug the mecha for him. Would you like to help?" Yun Miao was a little curious, what would Feng Chengyuan think? However, Feng Chengyuan did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked up at Yun Miao and asked meaningfully, "Do you want me to help you?" Yun Miao felt as if she saw a smile on Feng Chengyuan's lips, but before she could take a closer look, it disappeared in the blink of an eye, so fast that it made her feel as if she were dazzled. "Why don't you speak?" Feng Chengyuan's question brought Yun Miao back to his senses and he quickly answered. "Of course I don't want you to help, but the admiral should have his own plans, so I won't interfere." Yun Miao did not hide her true thoughts. Anyway, Feng Chengyuan should have known about the discord between her and the Yun family a long time ago, so there was nothing wrong with expressing it clearly now. Sure enough, Feng Chengyuan did not show any dissatisfaction with this. Instead, he became more interested in Yun Miao. He was somewhat surprised that she could be so frank in front of him. "If there's nothing else, I'll go get busy now." Yun Miao knew that she had said everything she needed to say and didn't plan to stay any longer, so she quickly went to cook. Watching Yun Miao leave, the curve of Feng Chengyuan's lips gradually widened, and the color in his eyes revealed an inexplicable depth. "It turns out that it wasn't my illusion," Feng Chengyuan muttered to himself, but stopped talking halfway and turned his gaze back to the book. Yun Miao quickly prepared the meal and came up to invite Feng Chengyuan to come downstairs to eat. This time, Feng Chengyuan did not refuse, but followed Yun Miao very good-temperedly and went to the restaurant together. Looking at the different delicacies on the table, Feng Chengyuan raised his eyebrows and said to Yun Miao with interest, "The Yun family asked you to replace Yun Bei and marry me, which can be regarded as picking up fish eyes and losing pearls." Yun Miao was stunned for a moment and looked at Feng Chengyuan in confusion, as if asking a question. Feng Chengyuan rarely spoke up, and he had no interest in playing dumb, so he continued to explain. "The Yun family's business involves the catering industry, but now the catering industry has become much more depressed due to the invasion of various fast food. This will have a great impact on the Yun family. If the Yun family can use your trick in its catering business, I think it will be able to recover a lot of losses." Yun Miao was stunned. Why did she feel so powerful after hearing what Feng Chengyuan said? "Admiral, you are wrong, aren't you? I don't think I am that powerful." She believed that she could cook a lot of dishes. After all, she was a foodie in her previous life and wanted to try to cook all kinds of delicacies from all over the world. But in this world, technology is so advanced that all walks of life should be no less advanced than in her previous life. Her cooking skills in this world are probably just average, right? Feng Chengyuan chuckled and said nothing more. Yun Miao's eyes were dazzled by that smile and her ears felt slightly hot. She didn't expect Feng Chengyuan to look so good when he smiled. Although it was just a faint smile, it made him look a lot friendlier. Coming back to his senses, Yun Miao quickly lowered his head and pretended to concentrate on eating, but the heat on his ears seemed to be spreading to his face. Chapter 22 Making Accompaniment. After dinner, the two went their separate ways to do their own things. Yun Miao returned to the room and began to prepare for his second live broadcast. It's not quite right to say it was the second game. After all, the first live broadcast was just an attempt to try out the live broadcast function, and it couldn't be considered a formal live broadcast at all. In Yun Miao's opinion, since he has decided to try the live streaming industry, he should treat it as his own career. Yun Miao positioned himself as a singing host. After all, he had mermaid blood, and since he had such a good voice talent, he naturally couldn't waste it. However, he was a little troubled about what song to sing. Yun Miao turned on the light brain and began to search for the music of this world, but after listening to it, she couldn't help shaking her head. No wonder the entertainment area on the live streaming platform is so sluggish. It turns out that in the real world, the entire entertainment industry is also so sluggish. Looking around, there are not many songs that people can remember, and even fewer that can be sung, not to mention singers and actors. Except for the few who are truly at the top, the others are just small characters that cannot be remembered. Yun Miao originally wanted to find some nice songs from his current music to try out, but after listening to several songs, Yun Miao was not very satisfied. After thinking about it, Yun Miao decided to look for it from the songs he had heard in his previous life. Maybe there would be suitable ones. Yun Miao discovered early on that since she awakened her mermaid blood, great changes had taken place in every aspect of her body. In addition to her physical condition becoming better than before, her memory had become so good that even many memories from her previous life had become clearer. In this way, the music that she had heard once before would be like engraved in her mind when she recalled it, allowing her to retrieve it easily. After choosing the song to sing, Yun Miao would start preparing the accompaniment. After all, she couldn't just sing a cappella all the time, as that would be too monotonous. Yun Miao is proficient in music theory, so it is very easy for her to write a music score. After she finishes writing the score, she directly enters it into the optical computer. After adjusting various musical instruments, she can then intelligently synthesize the accompaniment. When Yun Miao first learned that he could do this, he was completely shocked. I have to say that the world's technological level is indeed high. Many things can be completed quickly, saving a lot of time. It took Yun Miao a total of 6 hours to complete the several accompaniments he wanted to use. Yun Miao listened to it, and although it was not perfect, it was already very good. After preparing everything, Yun Miao looked at the time. He didn't expect that it was already so late without him noticing. He looked outside again and it was already dark. However, Yun Miao was still very happy when he saw the results of his afternoon's work. It seemed a bit too late to cook at this moment, so Yun Miao thought about it and directly opened them all on the computer and ordered a few dishes that looked good on the takeaway platform. While waiting for the takeaway to be delivered, Yun Miao refined what he had prepared again to ensure a perfect effect during the live broadcast. Soon, the takeaway was delivered to the door. Yun Miao looked at the time and saw that it took less than 15 minutes. She couldn't help but exclaim, "It's so fast." When the food was taken out, it looked good, but Yun Miao did not smell any fragrance. She thought it might be because of the insulation layer on the outside. Thinking of what Feng Chengyuan said before, that the catering industry is becoming increasingly depressed, Yun Miao is a little skeptical. Looking at the food like this, it shouldn't be able to continue to be depressed, right? After putting everything in place, Yun Miao prepared to go upstairs to call Feng Chengyuan for dinner, but just as he went upstairs, Yun Miao received a call request on his computer. Strange, who's calling? Yun Miao took a look at the call number and found it was one he didn't recognize. After hesitating for a moment, he answered the call. The next second, a 12-inch light screen appeared in front of Yun Miao, and on the screen was the face of Butler Wu. "Butler Wu, what can I do for you?" Butler Wu was at the other end, smiling and nodding. "Before I leave, there is one thing I forgot to tell Miss Yun. The admiral massages his legs every night to prevent muscle atrophy. Although he has a special instrument, he still needs someone to assist him. I'll have to trouble Miss Yun with this matter." Butler Wu spoke sincerely and earnestly. Yun Miao thought it was something important and agreed immediately. "Don't worry, I will help the admiral." "You don't have to worry, Butler Wu." "That's good. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up first." Butler Wu didn't waste any words. After he finished explaining what he wanted to say, he immediately hung up the phone without any further ado. Yun Miao didn't care. He called Feng Chengyuan and went downstairs to eat together. Feng Chengyuan looked at the food on the table and thought it was cooked by Yun Miao himself. However, when he tasted it, he couldn't help but frown. Not only him, even Yun Miao did not expect that the taste of these dishes would be so different from what she expected. After taking one bite, she could hardly eat any more. "Maybe the food I ordered doesn't taste good, haha." Yun Miao laughed awkwardly twice, and then slowly fell silent under Feng Chengyuan's indifferent gaze. Damn it, why do I feel guilty under his gaze? Yun Miao was secretly thinking about whether to order another one. But when he was still thinking about it, Feng Chengyuan said, "Compared to these takeaways, perhaps the nutrient solution is more convenient and faster." Yun Miao, Feng Chengyuan. After all, they are all equally unpalatable, so it doesn't matter what you eat. Why waste time on this meal? If it's the same thing next time, don't call me. After saying that, Feng Chengyuan put down his bowl and chopsticks and left. Yun Miao stood there in a daze for a while before he reacted. What Feng Chengyuan meant by this is that next time if I do it myself I can call him. Yun Miao thought about Feng Chengyuan's words in his mind, and then he realized that he might have been conquered by his cooking skills. Otherwise, why would he express so euphemistically that he only wanted to eat the food he cooked? For a moment, Yun Miao felt inexplicably excited. In that case, let's do this. Yun Miao glanced at the food on the table with disdain and went back to the kitchen. After a busy period, Yun Miao went upstairs carrying a bowl of steaming noodles. After seeing Feng Chengyuan, Yun Miao placed the bowl of noodles in front of Feng Chengyuan. This is the noodles I made myself. Would you like to try some? You still need to take care of your body. You can't go without food. Otherwise, how can you take care of your body? Yun Miao's mouth kept chattering for a while, and when she stopped, she realized that Feng Chengyuan was looking at her in surprise. After a moment's silence, he uttered 2 words. Thank you. Feng Chengyuan ate noodles very quickly, but his movements were not rough. Instead, they were very elegant and pleasing to the eye. Yun Miao was watching from the side, and before he knew it, a faint smile appeared on his face. Anyone would feel happy if the food they made can be enjoyed by others, right? Chapter 23 Take off your pants for what? After clearing the dishes, Yun Miao returned to Feng Chengyuan's room and saw Feng Chengyuan sitting at his desk handling official business. She remembered Butler Wu's request, so she stepped forward and said to Feng Chengyuan, General, Butler Wu said you should have your legs massaged. Feng Chengyuan nodded when he heard that, put down the things in his hands, and the wheelchair automatically slid towards the bed in the bedroom. Yun Miao followed him and came to the bedside. Help me take it off. Feng Chengyuan's words made Yun Miao stunned on the spot. Take it off, take it off. Seeing Feng Chengyuan already started to untie the belt around his waist, Yun Miao suddenly felt unwell. No, you don't mean to take off your pants, do you? Wait, aren't you going to massage your legs? Why are you taking off your pants? Yun Miao got nervous and blurted out everything that was on his mind. By the time he reacted, Feng Chengyuan was already looking up at him. That look made Yun Miao's cheeks hot and he wished he could find a place to hide. What are you thinking about? Feng Chengyuan frowned, somewhat speechless. Did she think she wanted to do something to her? Looking at her reaction, Feng Chengyuan felt that he might have guessed right. Push the instrument over here. The magnetic sheet on it needs to be attached to the skin, so you need to take off your outer pants. Seeing that Yun Miao didn't move, Feng Chengyuan felt a little embarrassed, so he took the initiative to explain. Yun Miao then realized that he had misunderstood and felt immediately embarrassed. He quickly turned around to push the instrument that Feng Chengyuan mentioned over and then operated it according to Feng Chengyuan's instructions. After taking off his trousers, Yun Miao didn't dare to look around, but he was still shocked by the sight of Shangwei out of the corner of his eye. Her head seemed to buzz in an instant, making her completely dazed. A fiery feeling suddenly hit Yun Miao's head, and he felt as if smoke was coming out of his whole body. Okay. Just when Yun Miao was in a trance, Feng Chengyuan's extremely steady voice came to her ears. Yun Miao looked up blankly and saw Feng Chengyuan's deep eyes. I didn't mean to peek. As if he was caught doing something bad, Yun Miao quickly waved his hands to defend himself. Feng Chengyuan murmured, peek. Yun Miao. It's over. He has confessed himself. No, you just heard wrongly, I didn't say anything. Wu, is it still too late to buy a ticket to another planet? Yun Miao wanted to cry but had no tears. The little kid in her heart was biting her handkerchief and crying like a dog. Feng Chengyuan looked at Yun Miao meaningfully, and his mood, which had been calm until now, seemed to have something falling into it, causing ripples. However, that kind of emotional transfer disappeared and did not attract Feng Chengyuan's attention. He didn't say much, but his eyes seemed to see through everything, which made Yun Miao blush even more. Forget it, destroy it. Yun Miao curled the corners of his mouth, and finally chose to give up resistance, allowing the embarrassment to overwhelm him. Yun Miao had a stiff face throughout the whole process, not daring to look at Feng Chengyuan. She calmly placed the magnetic disc on Feng Chengyuan's leg, and then adjusted the time according to Feng Chengyuan's instructions. When the time was up, she began to massage Feng Chengyuan's leg muscles herself. Perhaps because he had experienced all the awkward moments before, Yun Miao felt numb instead at this moment. He let his mind go completely and had a sense of freedom as if his soul was wandering in the sky. Okay. Just when Yun Miao was lost in thought, Feng Chengyuan's words pulled her back from her trance. She looked at Feng Chengyuan blankly and tilted her head in confusion. Feng Chengyuan looked at Yun Miao's confused eyes and her unconscious actions, and once again felt something in his heart move. But in the blink of an eye, he was interrupted by a sudden headache. Hiss! Feng Chengyuan was caught off guard and couldn't help but gasp, frowning slightly. Yun Miao reacted immediately and asked worriedly, "General, what's wrong with you?" After enduring the cramping pain, Feng Chengyuan was already used to it and waved his hand, "It's okay." He pulled the quilt over his legs and leaned his back against the head of the bed. He looked calm, but he knew that another wave of continuous pain would come next. "Now that it's done, you can go back and rest." Feng Chengyuan said this somewhat stiffly, but his tone was still calm, trying not to show any abnormality. He has always been like this, unwilling to show his vulnerable side in front of others. Even when facing Butler Wu, who had been with him for 10 years, every time his illness flared up, he would just ask him to wait outside the basement, while he was alone in the basement, enduring the torture brought by the churning of his spiritual sea. Now in front of Yun Miao, he would naturally not show it. Yun Miao looked at Feng Chengyuan leaning against the head of the bed and closing his eyes as if he was tired. She was about to leave, but instinctively felt something was wrong. Feng Chengyuan seems to be in pain. Yun Miao looked at Feng Chengyuan with some confusion. Although she didn't notice anything on Feng Chengyuan's face, she had a feeling that Feng Chengyuan was very uncomfortable. She wanted to ask about Feng Chengyuan's situation, but was afraid of disturbing his rest, so she hesitated for a moment and turned around and left the room. The sound of the door closing was heard, and Feng Chengyuan opened his eyes full of deep thought. He had always felt that Yun Miao seemed to have a kind of relaxing power, but he didn't spend much time with Yun Miao on weekdays, so he always thought it was an illusion and didn't take it to heart. However, in the past few days, he found that the feeling was becoming more and more obvious. Especially after the close contact just now, his tense nerves seemed to relax a lot. The most obvious thing was that although there were signs of a relapse just now, it was not as fierce and uncontrollable as every previous relapse. He did not think much about it at first, but just now after Yun Miao left, his spiritual sea, which had been just a minor disturbance, suddenly began to become a violent storm, and he almost couldn't control himself. Feng Chengyuan didn't believe it. All this was just a coincidence. Maybe there really is something unusual about Yun Miao. Feng Chengyuan thought that maybe he should find a time to observe Yun Miao carefully, but it was obviously not now. The first thing he had to do at this moment was to stabilize his spiritual sea temporarily. Although for other people, once the spiritual sea becomes turbulent, it may be a precursor to a riot and a very dangerous thing, but for Feng Chengyuan, this is already commonplace. After so many times, Feng Chengyuan has even been able to temporarily calm the early stages of the turbulence in the spiritual sea with his own abilities. Although it is very uncomfortable, perhaps after a while, he will get used to the pain. Just as Feng Chengyuan was silently enduring the stabbing pain in his head, the door was pushed open by Yun Miao again. Feng Chengyuan immediately looked over alertly, and when he saw it was Yun Miao, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. "I'll go get you a cup of milk. Drinking it before bed may help you sleep better." Yun Miao walked to the bedside with hot milk, and as Yun Miao got closer, Feng Chengyuan's eyes became more and more surprised. "You should go to bed early. I'm going back to my room." Yun Miao put down the milk and prepared to leave, but when she turned around, Feng Chengyuan grabbed her wrist. "Wait a moment." Chapter 24 Doubt. Yun Miao turned around in surprise and looked at Feng Chengyuan in confusion. "Is there anything else, Admiral?" Feng Chengyuan didn't expect that he would actually do such a thing. He was stunned for a moment, but he reacted in an instant and let go of Yun Miao's hand as if nothing had happened. It seems like we've never had a chance to get to know each other. After all, we live under the same roof. Maybe we can talk. Feng Chengyuan spoke calmly on the surface, but in his heart he was thinking about the reason why he did what he did just now. Perhaps it was because he found that when Yun Miao was around, he could deal with the turbulence in his spiritual sea more easily. Feng Chengyuan thought so and decided to keep Yun Miao by his side to see if it was really as he thought. Yun Miao wondered for a moment if Feng Chengyuan in front of him had also been possessed by someone else. Why did he suddenly become so easy to talk to? However, this is also a good thing. After all, it means that the relationship between her and Feng Chengyuan is slowly improving. My Lord Admiral wants to talk to me, of course I am happy to do so, but I have something else to do later, so it seems a little inconvenient. Yun Miao laughed dryly and felt a little embarrassed. She was preparing to start a live broadcast. After all the preliminary work had been prepared. It wouldn't be good to put it off until tomorrow, right? Yun Miao expressed her thoughts. She never concealed the fact that she was doing live streaming. She even borrowed money from Feng Chengyuan to buy the live streaming equipment. Alas, I haven't made any money yet, but I'm in debt. Go and bring over the stuff you want to broadcast live. While Yun Miao was distracted, he heard Feng Chengyuan speak indifferently. She was surprised and thought she had heard it wrongly. You mean, we want to broadcast it here? Does the Admiral also want to broadcast live? Yun Miao looked at Feng Chengyuan suspiciously, blinked his eyes, and complained in his heart. But this idea was rejected in a blink of an eye. It's pretty boring for me to be alone. You can live stream and it might not be too lonely if you talk to me. Don't worry, I won't disturb you. Feng Chengyuan naturally would not tell Yun Miao his true thoughts, so he could only quickly come up with this reason. If Butler Wu heard him say these words, he would probably be so shocked that his jaw would drop. The Admiral actually said that he was boring. Workaholics are not qualified to say this. However, Yun Miao didn't know all this and just thought that what Feng Chengyuan said was true. After hesitating for a moment, he felt that Feng Chengyuan was a patient after all, and it seemed a bit bad to leave him alone. So Yun Miao agreed to Feng Chengyuan's proposal and immediately went to bring his live broadcast equipment over. Feng Chengyuan's room is very big, much bigger than Yun Miao's room. Yun Miao took a look and decided to start the live broadcast on the sofa. After setting the live broadcast ball to fixed shooting, then adjusting it to portrait lock and blurring the background, Yun Miao started the live broadcast directly. Yun Miao had already held a live broadcast before, so it attracted some people to add her live broadcast room to their follow list. When the live broadcast started, the light brain automatically popped up a prompt message. Those viewers who followed Yun Miao's live broadcast room and set reminders naturally knew the news that Yun Miao had started broadcasting. So, not long after Yun Miao started the live broadcast, the number of people in the live broadcast room began to increase continuously. Good evening everyone, I am the host Yun Miao, I am very happy to meet you again. Yun Miao waved towards the live broadcast ball and smiled brightly. Ever since awakening her mermaid bloodline, Yun Miao's already beautiful facial features have gradually changed under the influence of the bloodline day and night, becoming more and more delicate. This change did not happen overnight, and people could not see Yun Miao's transformation right away. Instead, it happened silently and gradually, changing everything about her. Why do I feel that the anchor is more beautiful than before? It turns out that people who sing well are good looking. Closing square bracket. Where is this anchor? Why is the background blur turned on? Closing square bracket. Are you not cooking tonight? After tasting your food last time, I can't eat anything else. I've become skinny due to hunger. You have to take responsibility. Upstairs, this is the entertainment area, and the anchors don't live in the cooking anchor, forget it. Closing square bracket. Question mark comma question mark. The barrage of comments quickly filled up, and Yun Miao felt relieved as he watched the live broadcast room gradually become more and more lively. At least it seemed that he had not made a wrong choice to broadcast live. Yun Miao glanced at the comments and replied casually, I'm not going to cook today. After all, I'm a music anchor and I mainly want to sing. No, I don't mind if the anchor cooks a little while after singing, really. How can cooking be considered a distraction? Don't you want to do it? I'm thinking of tasting the delicious food again today. Closing square bracket. Kiju Xingyu gave the anchor a dream castle. Question mark. I think. Question mark, comma, question mark. Yun Miao looked at the content of the barrage and smiled to comfort him. I have prepared several good songs today, do you really not want to listen to them? The barrage of comments all flashed words like, want to listen, which made Yun Miao very happy. Feng Chengyuan was half leaning on the bed, seemingly processing a stack of documents in his hand, but when Yun Miao didn't notice, his eyes were always on her. This was his first time watching a live broadcast, and he found it somewhat novel. In the live broadcast room, Yun Miao interacted with fans, and soon prepared to start singing as everyone expected. My first song tonight is called. As Yun Miao finished speaking, a melodious tune rang in everyone's ears. After the prelude, Yun Miao's voice also sounded. The melody, with a hint of melancholy, makes people immersed in it unconsciously. In the mind of every listener, scenes seem to appear in their minds as the music progresses. The moment Feng Chengyuan heard Yun Miao's singing, his whole body trembled involuntarily. Then he suddenly raised his head and looked at Yun Miao, with deep doubt in his eyes. Strange, why did I feel that way just now? Feng Chengyuan murmured to himself, his eyes still fixed on Yun Miao. However, he observed her for a long while but could not find any answers from her. Just now, the moment Yun Miao opened his mouth, Feng Chengyuan seemed to feel a spiritual force gently brushing past him, making him feel relaxed for a moment. However, the existence of that mental power was extremely short-lived. Before he had time to perceive it carefully, it had disappeared. Feng Chengyuan suspected that the mental power came from Yun Miao, but Yun Miao was concentrating on singing live at the moment, so he didn't dare to ask her for the details. He could only suppress his doubts temporarily, then opened a file on his computer and read it carefully. If Yun Miao saw it at this moment, she would definitely be shocked, because the contents recorded in that document were exactly everything about her. Feng Chengyuan looked at it carefully, especially staying for a long time on the column of Yun Miao's mental power data. Chapter 25 Is this success? E-level mental power. When he saw Yun Miao's mental power data, Feng Chengyuan frowned slightly. The lowest level of mental power detected by humans today is only F. People with such low levels are generally those with poor physical fitness. Level E is not much better either, being only slightly better than ordinary people, but it is almost negligible. Feng Chengyuan knew long ago that Yun Miao was E-level, but what happened just now made him doubt whether he had seen it wrong before, so he couldn't help but open it to confirm it again. Unfortunately, it is still E-class when I look at it again, without any change. So, what happened just now? Feng Chengyuan felt confused. Yun Miao didn't know that Feng Chengyuan had become a little suspicious of her because of her own affairs. After she finished singing a song, she unconsciously looked in Feng Chengyuan's direction. Seeing that he didn't look at her, Yun Miao felt a little complicated for a moment. Speaking of which, Feng Chengyuan was the most handsome person Yun Miao had ever seen, whether in the previous life or this life. It could be said that Feng Chengyuan looked just like the ideal lover Yun Miao imagined. It was a pity that there was no emotional foundation between the two of them except for the marriage contract, and Feng Chengyuan didn't look like someone who would talk about feelings with others. This made Yun Miao give up any thoughts in his mind. But, after all, I still can't help but care about what the other person thinks. Yun Miao thought helplessly in his heart, and when he turned around to look at the live broadcast room, he had already seen the ridicule in the barrage. Is there anyone beside the anchor? I saw the anchor glance to the side just now, and there was something wrong with his eyes. I also suspect there is someone nearby, otherwise why would the anchor have turned on the background blur and portrait lock? There must be something fishy going on. Host, please ignore them. They are too gossipy. Unlike me, I just want to hear you continue singing. Comma. Yun Miao naturally would not tell others that there was indeed someone by his side, and that person was the famous Feng Chengyuan. If this news were to be known to others, it would probably cause an uproar on the Star Network immediately. Okay, don't think too much, let's just sing well. Yun Miao smiled and turned on the music accompaniment without further explanation. A melodious tune slowly flowed over, carrying a hint of sadness, making everyone feel inexplicably heavy. The scattered moonlight passed through the clouds, hiding from the crowd, laying out the scales of the sea. Waves wet white skirt, trying to push you back. Note 1. Yun Miao lowered her eyes and sang like a whisper. Her soft and ethereal voice seemed to be telling a poignant and sad story. At the seaside under the cold moonlight, a girl in white clothes walked slowly towards the water barefoot. She looked calm as if she had no emotions at all, but there was a kind of extreme despair and sadness lingering around her. Go, sink yourself into the depths of the sea and no longer be disturbed by worldly things. There is no joy, no sorrow, only eternal peace. After the song was over, the indifference in the live broadcast room emerged during the interlude. Another new song I haven't heard of. So sad. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Why do I feel like crying for no reason? Wow, I'm already crying. No one knew that among the countless spectators, there was a girl sitting on the rocks by the sea, looking into the distance with a numb expression. There was no one around her, and the only thing that accompanied her was the sea breeze whistling in her ears. The waves came and wet her feet, bringing a cold touch, but she was not moved at all, still maintaining the same posture, not moving for a long time. Next to her, a light computer was playing the screen of the live broadcast room. She clicked on it accidentally. The reason she didn't turn it off was because she was attracted by the song and it inadvertently resonated with her heart. Perhaps, sleeping at the bottom of the sea is really a good thing. The girl thought to herself, and her body, which had been sitting stiffly for a long time, finally moved. The interlude of the music in my ears ended, and that beautiful voice sounded again, but the original sad tone seemed to be different. The girl didn't care. She just stood on the reef and looked into the distance. The look in her eyes couldn't be seen in the darkness, but the heavy sadness seemed to be carried away by the sea breeze and drifted away to a very far place. The scattered moonlight passed through the clouds and gazed at the crowd. Our lonely hearts are sometimes like the bottom of the sea. Quote. Note 2. The girl jumped off the reef and her white feet sank into the mud and sand. Quote. Tears have no sound, but I want to hold you tight. You are an important being. Someone's star. Quote. The girl slowly moved her feet and walked towards the water step by step. Quote. There was a warm voice calling your name. You asked me where the road leads to. The road leads to me waiting for you. Quote. The sound of the sea breeze whistling in her ears seemed like someone was calling her. The girl paused, but finally turned back. The light is looking for you. It wants to warm you up. Someone came running towards the girl with light, and before she could react, he hugged her tightly in his arms. It says listen to me. Someone called you back. The girl's body froze, and there seemed to be light slowly appearing in her eyes, which were like dead water, as if her ears, which could only hear the sound of the wind, finally heard other sounds. Man, are you crazy? How can you bear to abandon us? The man hugged the girl tightly and condemned her loudly, but every word contained deep concern for the girl. The despair and loneliness that were so heavy that they seemed to suffocate seemed to be slowly melting away. Only the gradually rising singing voice was like a big hand, tearing away the invisible and intangible haze, allowing a trace of light to sneak into that dry and dark world. Too late. I want to sing to you too. Autumn wind blows with light snowflakes. You can't see the 4 seasons under the sea. After the song was finished, Yun Miao was still in a trance for a long time. This was the first time she sang a song with such devotion. The feeling of her mind resonating with the song was as if she was immersed in a wonderful space, making her feel a little dazed after she finished singing. Strange, why do I feel this way? Yun Miao calmed down and finally felt better, but he felt that he seemed to be a little weak. She even wondered if she was suddenly ill. Why was she fine just now, but she felt a little listless after singing a few songs. Yun Miao wanted to yawn, but remembering that he was still on a live broadcast, he held it back. However, the yawn made his eyes slightly red, making them look even more moist and bright. At this moment, the barrage was in chaos. Wow, wow, wow. It sounds good. It sounds so good. The beginning of this song is so sad that it almost made me depressed, but when I heard the latter part, I suddenly felt like I was sublimated and I felt like I was redeemed. My eyes are filled with tears. I was just given a hard time by my supervisor today. I have been feeling depressed all day, but now I feel relieved. Little Squid gave the anchor a dream castle as a reward. Afe gave the anchor a spaceship as a reward. The barrage of comments kept jumping, and the special effects of rewards kept flashing in the live broadcast room. Yun Miao did not expect that a song could resonate with so many people. After being shocked, he was excited. Do I consider this a success? Note 1 is the song, Under the Sea, by E.G. Durian, and Note 2 is the song, Under the Sea, by Phoenix Legend. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 26 What Did You Do Last Night? Yun Miao, who had originally planned to broadcast a 2-hour live broadcast, finally decided to end it after about an hour. Because she felt that after entering that state of concentration when singing before, she seemed to have lost her energy and always couldn't help yawning. Yun Miao didn't understand why he felt sleepy so quickly tonight, but it was not appropriate to continue the live broadcast, so after singing a few songs, he said something to the audience in the live broadcast room and turned off the live broadcast. Why did it go off the air so quickly? No, I haven't heard enough. Host, please come back soon. How long has it been since you went off the air? You can't do this. Yun Miao's songs fascinated all netizens, especially the previous song, Under the Sea, which gave people goosebumps and a feeling of being deeply immersed in it, as if they had experienced a process from despair to redemption. When the song ended and everyone came back to their senses, the overwhelming feeling of satisfaction made everyone unable to stop. However, looking at the live broadcast room with a black screen, netizens could only helplessly accept the fact that the live broadcast had ended. However, everyone did not remain silent, and instead moved to the Moya forum and began to crazily recommend Yun Miao's live broadcast room. The song, Under the Sea, that she had just sung was also recorded and put up online. Play a song by a beautiful girl that touches your soul, and you will come back to thank me after listening to it. A netizen posted the recorded content on the Moya forum, and immediately many netizens who had just watched the live broadcast saw it and responded one after another. Good brother, thank you for sharing. As we all know, personal recording of live broadcast is free, but recording in holographic sharing mode is charged. Although it is not that expensive, who would spend that money for no reason? Therefore, it is natural to be grateful to have such a brother who loves, and shares, Yuan, with us. Many passers-by were attracted to watch, and then chose to download and save, leaving a message. Thank you for your kindness. For the netizen who uploaded the recorded video, it was the first time that he received so much attention and thanks from so many people. He was naturally overjoyed and showed off in front of his friends. However, because it was in the entertainment area, although the video attracted a small wave of popularity, it soon faded away because there were not many people in the entertainment area. Even the netizen who uploaded the video felt helpless and gradually paid less attention to it. Besides, after Yun Miao finished the live broadcast, he was originally planning to say goodbye to Feng Chengyuan and then go back to his room to rest. But when she turned around to look at Feng Chengyuan, she found that Feng Chengyuan was leaning against the head of the bed, sleeping with his eyes closed. Yun Miao originally thought that the other person was just taking a nap with his eyes closed, and perhaps was not asleep. However, when she walked closer and called him softly twice and got no response, she was sure that the other person was really asleep. For a moment, Yun Miao was a little surprised. Feng Chengyuan looked like a very vigilant person. Although she and Feng Chengyuan were nominally husband and wife and had been together for some time, to be honest, they were not very familiar with each other. Would Feng Chengyuan be so relaxed in front of her? Yun Miao felt that Feng Chengyuan was a little abnormal from the beginning tonight, but she couldn't figure out the reason. Is it because of health reasons that I have to recuperate at home and that's why I feel lonely? Yun Miao thought so and felt that it was very likely. Put yourself in her shoes. If she were suddenly unable to walk, she would not only be unwilling to see other people, but she might even become depressed. Feng Chengyuan is the highly respected admiral. It must be very painful for him to suffer such a sudden blow, right? Yun Miao looked at Feng Chengyuan's face, which looked softer after he fell asleep. He sighed silently in his heart and felt a faint sympathy. She tiptoed forward, tucked the quilt for Feng Chengyuan, and made a decision secretly in her heart. Maybe she could try harder to at least make him feel less lonely. Yun Miao quietly took his things and left Feng Chengyuan's room. And on the bed, Feng Chengyuan indeed didn't notice anything. The next morning, Feng Chengyuan was awakened from his sleep by his biological clock on time. He sat up, his eyes were confused for a moment, but they became clear in the blink of an eye. I actually fell asleep. Feng Chengyuan murmured, thinking back to the time when he had fallen asleep without realizing it last night. He found it incredible. Obviously, at the beginning, I was still paying attention to Yun Miao's live broadcast. I originally wanted to observe her carefully to see what was different about her. However, for some reason, the torment of the surging spiritual sea that should have been continuously attacking me became much gentler than before. And when Yun Miao was singing, he even felt that his whole body became very relaxed. That was why he fell asleep unknowingly in the end and slept very soundly the whole night. You know, he hasn't entered a deep sleep for a long time. After all, the sequelae of the mental riot not only made him unable to walk, but also made him lose the ability to sleep well. But I actually slept until now last night, which is outrageous. Thinking of this, Feng Chengyuan's expression became solemn. He was very sure that he was not subjected to any mental hypnosis last night. From beginning to end, there were only him and Yun Miao in the entire admiral's mansion. Could it be that Yun Miao did something? But with Yun Miao's ability, it is impossible for him to launch any mental attack on himself. So, what's going on? Feng Chengyuan couldn't figure it out. With suspicion, when Feng Chengyuan went downstairs and saw Yun Miao, his eyes became a little strange, which made Yun Miao confused. What happened? Yun Miao asked in confusion, and reached out to touch his face, wondering if there was something on his face. Otherwise, why did Feng Chengyuan look at him so strangely? What did you do last night? After thinking it over, Feng Chengyuan still felt that Yun Miao was the most suspicious, so he asked directly. Yun Miao was confused. What? Why didn't she understand what Feng Chengyuan said? Didn't I just do a live broadcast in your room last night? You saw this. Could it be that Feng Chengyuan's illness also affected his memory? Otherwise, he wouldn't know what happened last night. Feng Chengyuan narrowed his eyes, steered the wheelchair closer to Yun Miao, stopped only 2 meters away from her, and looked at her with a serious look. How much mental strength do you have? How do I know this? Yun Miao really didn't know, because she had no memory of her own mental power. Feng Chengyuan pondered for a moment and said, "Come with me later." Where to? Testing Center. Chapter 27 Shopping. Yun Miao didn't know what Feng Chengyuan was thinking. He suddenly wanted to take him to a testing center. After asking him what he wanted to test, he realized that he wanted him to test his mental strength level. Since waking up in this world, Yun Miao has learned a lot about this world, and naturally also knows about mental power. She also searched for information about mental power on the Star Network and learned the details about the levels of mental power. Feng Chengyuan is considered to be at the top of the pyramid of mental power level. Apart from him, the number of SS-level bosses in the entire Interstellar Alliance can be counted on one hand. Therefore, many people admire Feng Chengyuan. As for Yun Miao's level of mental power, she herself was also very curious. So he agreed to go with Feng Chengyuan to take a look first. After breakfast, the two of them went out together in the hovercraft. The car drove automatically to the testing center and stopped. With Feng Chengyuan's identity, he could naturally complete a series of testing processes smoothly. While waiting for the results, Yun Miao was very nervous. She didn't know why Feng Chengyuan brought her here to test her mental power, but it was obvious that there was something she didn't know that made Feng Chengyuan suspicious. Could it be that the fact of his mermaid bloodline has been discovered? Yun Miao was startled and looked up at Feng Chengyuan with a hint of vigilance in his eyes. It's over. Why didn't I think of this aspect just now? If I had thought of it earlier, why would I have been so foolish to follow the testing center for a checkup? What if something abnormal was detected? The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. Yun Miao even had the urge to run away. Feng Chengyuan waited for the result calmly, seemingly not paying attention to anything, but he was secretly paying attention to Yun Miao's every move. Therefore, when Yun Miao suddenly looked at him with a nervous expression, Feng Chengyuan noticed it immediately. But he did not show it, and continued to observe the other party secretly. He noticed Yun Miao's panic and obvious intention to retreat. Feng Chengyuan's heart trembled and his eyes narrowed slightly. It seems that there really is a problem. At this moment, the door of the lounge opened and a middle-aged man in a white coat walked in. After greeting each other, he started talking about Yun Miao's test results. The results of the examination are out. Madam's mental strength level is D level. The doctor sent the results to the two people's light computers. Feng Chengyuan took a look and felt a little weird. Yun Miao's mental power had indeed changed, but AD level mental power was only slightly better than a loser. It was impossible for him to do anything to himself. So what exactly happened to him before? Feng Chengyuan had doubts in his heart, but he didn't say them out loud. After getting the results, he took Yun Miao away from the testing center. Yun Miao didn't understand Feng Chengyuan's thoughts, so he asked about his doubts in the hovercraft. Why did the admiral take me to test my mental strength? It shouldn't be a whim, right? Facing Yun Miao, Feng Chengyuan could not express his doubts, so he could only find an excuse to cover it up. Yun Miao was not a petty person, but she always felt that Feng Chengyuan seemed to be hiding something about her. She wanted to ask but felt that he would definitely not tell her, so she could only keep it in her heart. The atmosphere in the hovercraft seemed to be in a state of solemnity. Feng Chengyuan was about to say something but hesitated. After a moment, Yun Miao took the initiative to break the deadlock. Come to think of it, I haven't had a good time playing outside yet. It's a rare opportunity for me to go out today, so why don't you accompany me for a walk, Admiral? Yun Miao put a smile on his face again and put aside the depressed mood he had just had. Anyway, don't think about things you shouldn't know. Isn't it good to be a simple and happy person? Feng Chengyuan hesitated for a moment, then nodded in agreement for the first time. So under Feng Chengyuan's control, the hovercraft stopped directly at a parking lot in the central area of Nanhua. After the two got off the car, they walked towards the nearest central shopping mall. Nanhua Central District is one of the most prosperous areas in the capital star. It has the most prosperous commercial and food districts in the capital star. In addition, there is also a luxuriously equipped amusement area. It can be said that this is really a place where every inch of land is worth a lot of money. This was Yun Miao's first time here. Looking at the various buildings and decorations full of technological elements, he couldn't help but feel emotional. Feng Chengyuan didn't really like going out, but now that he was willing to accompany Yun Miao here, it could be considered as compensation for his previous doubts. Yun Miao looked around and couldn't help but exclaim in amazement when he saw new things. He felt as if he had never seen the world before. Along the way, he attracted many people's attention. Feng Chengyuan was traveling with her and also attracted a lot of attention because of his handsome appearance. Many women were amazed by his appearance. However, when they saw him sitting in a wheelchair, the amazement in their eyes immediately faded and turned into sympathy. Feng Chengyuan didn't care about these at all. He just responded to Yun Miao's questions occasionally. The two walked into the commercial district, where there were many high-end stores. Most of the people who could come here were rich people. Although online shopping is very convenient nowadays, there are still people who like to go out shopping, so there are still many people in the commercial district. Yun Miao originally just wanted to walk around and take a look, but Feng Chengyuan directly controlled the wheelchair and entered a clothing store. Yun Miao thought Feng Chengyuan wanted to buy clothes, so he followed him in. After entering the door, a salesgirl came forward to greet us warmly. When she saw a man in a wheelchair and a woman looking around, she showed a little doubt, but soon regained her smile. "Excuse me, how can we help you two guests?" Feng Chengyuan casually pointed at Yun Miao and said, "Pick out some clothes for her." Yun Miao was surprised, but before she could say anything, he had already agreed and invited Yun Miao to go to the shopping area. "This skirt suits you well, young lady. You will look great in it." The shopping guide picked out a light purple dress and recommended it with a smile on her face. Yun Miao glanced at the price secretly and almost couldn't control her expression. "So expensive. It's almost as much as the money I spent on buying the live broadcast ball." Yun Miao was even more nervous and surprised. She didn't understand why Feng Chengyuan brought her here to buy clothes. And such expensive clothes. Are you preparing to make your debts so huge that you can't pay them off? Seeing Yun Miao hesitating, the shopping guide thought that Yun Miao didn't like it, so she recommended a few more pieces. As a result, Yun Miao found that each piece was very expensive, which made her feel discouraged. Just as the salesperson picked up a new skirt to recommend to Yun Miao, a burst of inappropriate ridicule came from behind. "If you can't afford it, don't come here to hang out. It's really embarrassing." Yun Miao looked back and saw a beautiful girl in her 20s with a high ponytail, looking at her with disdain. "Who are you?" Chapter 28. Clayman has 3 points of fire. "You don't know me. How dare you not know me?" Yun Miao's question made the person's face suddenly become very ugly, as if Yun Miao not knowing her was a very insulting thing to her, which made Yun Miao speechless. "Why should I know you? Who are you?" Yun Miao could feel the hostility of the girl in front of him, so there was naturally no need to talk to her nicely. "Annie, who are you talking to?" The girl was about to get angry at Yun Miao when a familiar voice came from the side. Yun Miao immediately recognized who the voice belonged to and felt even more regretful for coming to this store, otherwise she would not have met the god of plague. "There, this is your sister. She is so arrogant that she actually said she doesn't know me. After all, I have met her several times, but she actually ignored me like this." The girl called Annie turned back angrily and complained to Yun Bei who was walking towards her. When Yun Bei, who had just walked over, saw Yun Miao, her face also became very ugly. "Yun Miao, why are you here?" Yun Bei spoke to Yun Miao in a haughty manner, with an expression as if a princess high above was looking down at the lowly common people. Yun Miao ignored Yun Bei's attitude. His eyes moved back and forth between the two of them, and some images seemed to emerge in his mind. "I remember now, it was you." The memory became clearer, and the face of the girl in front of him also slowly became familiar, until he was completely remembered. This girl and Yun Bei were close friends. After the original body was taken back, she did visit the Yun family a few times. But although she was called a visitor, she was actually helping Yun Bei to make sarcastic remarks about the original body. However, because the original body didn't care, the memory of it was not that deep. But now, after Yun Miao dug up her memories, her expression darkened, because she saw from her memories that among the people who had caused her original body to fall into the water as a prank, this girl named Annie was among them. When Yun Bei saw Yun Miao, she looked at him with disdain and asked the same question as Annie. "You are worthy of coming here. Can you afford the clothes here?" Yun Bei didn't think that Yun Miao and Feng Chengyuan would have a good life after they got married, and someone like her wouldn't have the money to spend here. After saying that, Yun Bei turned to look at the shopping guide beside her and spoke in a proud tone. "Why do you let all kinds of people into your store? It makes you look cheap." Anne echoed, "She's just a lowly person from the slums. I would also feel troubled if she wore the same brand of clothes as me." Yun Bei and Annie often come to this store to buy clothes. They are also senior members of the store. Even the shopping guides are familiar with them. When they heard what they said, they looked embarrassed. The shopping guide didn't know Yun Miao, but the man who came with her just now was dressed in luxurious clothes and it was obvious that he had an extraordinary identity. That was why she received him so warmly. However, the words of the two regular customers made her feel conflicted again. Could it be that, as the two regular customers said, the person in front of her was just an ordinary person who couldn't afford it? Just when the salesperson was in a dilemma, Yun Miao sneered and said, "Yun Bei, I haven't seen you for a long time. You are still as annoying as ever. Do you think I can't afford the clothes here with my current status?" Yun Miao glared back at Yun Bei with great momentum, the corners of his mouth slightly raised in a mocking smile, which made Yun Bei furious. "How dare you talk to me like that?" Yun Bei was used to bullying Yun Miao. Even though she suffered a lot at Yun Miao's hands last time, it did not change her mind. She still thought that Yun Miao was a soft persimmon that was easy to bully. When she suddenly heard Yun Miao's resistance, she felt it was incredible and felt that her dignity was offended. She was about to fight back, but was stopped by Annie beside her. Wait a moment." Seeing that Yun Bei seemed to be about to take action, Annie quickly grabbed her. It was not because she was thinking about Yun Miao and was afraid that she would be bullied by Yun Bei, but because they were outside after all and there were outsiders around. After all, they were both daughters of wealthy families, and fighting in public would damage their status. Yun Bei also figured this out. After calming down a bit, she said to Yun Miao, "Don't think I don't know. You will be just a decoration after you marry into the family. Coming from the slums like you can't become a phoenix even if you fly to a tree. Sooner or later, you will be kicked out of the house. However, if you apologize to me for your rudeness just now, when you are kicked out of the house, I may still pity you and ask Dad to give you some money so that you won't starve to death." Yun Bei looked at Yun Miao with disdain, and the condescending tone in her voice really made Yun Miao feel angry. "It seems that after last time, you still haven't learned how to speak." Yun Miao looked at Yun Bei indifferently as she talked nonsense in front of him. Thinking of how Yu Qingru and Yun Hao had come to him in person and asked him for help not long ago, Yun Miao couldn't help but sneer. Yun Bei was reminded of the frustration she felt last time because of Yun Miao's words, and her face became extremely ugly in an instant. "Now that you mention it, I remember that I haven't settled the score with you yet." Yun Bei gritted her teeth and said this. Annie beside her asked in confusion, but got no answer. Yun Miao was too lazy to continue talking to Yun Bei. Thinking that Feng Chengyuan was still waiting for her, she asked the shopping guide to pick out 2 pieces of clothing for her. The shopping guide originally thought that she was at the center of the storm, but after hearing what Yun Miao said, she suddenly felt as if she had been pardoned, and quickly turned around to pick clothes for Yun Miao. But in just a moment, the shopping guide brought a black mini dress to Yun Miao. Yun Miao was about to take it to try it on, but was stopped by Yun Bei. "I want to try this skirt." Annie and Yun Bei are best friends, so naturally they don't like Yun Miao. However, they have to consider their own status and cannot teach Yun Miao a lesson in front of outsiders. So they prepare a little trick to humiliate Yun Miao. Knowing from Yun Bei that Yun Miao was a poor person, Annie guessed that she had no money to buy the things here and came in just to experience the addiction of being rich. So Annie planned to expose Yun Miao's disguise and make her lose face. Annie snatched the skirt from the salesperson's hand, then looked at Yun Miao with a smug look on her face and boasted, "Since you don't have the money to buy it, don't dirty this dress. Someone like you doesn't deserve this dress at all." The shopping guide was also in a dilemma and didn't know what to do for a moment. Yun Miao's face remained calm, but he could hardly contain himself. Yun Bei was right, she didn't have much money at the moment. The money from the live broadcast rewards hadn't been reflected yet. And even if she did, she probably wouldn't have much for the time being. If she wanted to buy a skirt here, it would probably be difficult, but... Do you really think you are easy to bully? Even a clay man has some temper. Just because you don't fight back doesn't mean you're afraid, okay? Just when Yun Miao was hesitating whether to use the remaining money from buying the live broadcast equipment, Feng Chengyuan's indifferent and low voice appeared in his ears. "Who said she doesn't deserve it? Chapter 29 Maintenance. Feng Chengyuan's aura was so powerful that he shocked everyone present as soon as he appeared. He came to Yun Miao with a sullen face and looked at Yun Bei and Annie coldly, which instantly silenced the two people who had been so arrogant just now. Seal. Yun Bei looked at Feng Chengyuan in disbelief and opened her mouth to speak, but the next second Feng Chengyuan's eyes blocked her from exclaiming. How come? How come he is here? Did he come with Yun Miao? Why, shouldn't he and Yun Miao have a bad relationship? After all, the Yun family changed the engagement person, which was considered to be a deception to Feng Chengyuan. He should be angry and dislike Yun Miao, so why is he still with her? Yun Bei couldn't understand it and felt even more indignant. But Feng Chengyuan was too lazy to pay attention to Yun Bei. After intimidating her with his eyes, he turned to look at Yun Miao. When he spoke, his tone was not as cold as before. Try whichever one you like. Yun Miao was stunned for a moment, then shook his head and said, Don't bother with that. I still have a lot of clothes at home that I haven't worn yet. If I buy more, I won't be able to wear them. It would be a waste. Originally, Yun Miao was a little angry because of the provocation of Yun Bei and Annie, but for some reason, after seeing Feng Chengyuan appear and shocking the two of them, the anger in Yun Miao's heart disappeared unconsciously. But Feng Chengyuan didn't seem to think so. When Yun Miao mentioned the word, home, just now, Feng Chengyuan's heart seemed to be touched. A strange feeling passed through his heart that he could not ignore. He knew that Yun Miao was embarrassed by Yun Bei and Annie just now because they thought she couldn't afford the clothes here. Thinking of this, a dark light flashed in Feng Chengyuan's eyes. When he raised his eyes again, his gaze swept directly over the clothes in the exhibition area and began to point them casually. This one, and this one. Every time Feng Chengyuan ordered an item, the salesgirl would immediately come forward, take the item of clothing off and carefully hold it in her arms, feeling even more confused and uncertain. What is this gentleman going to do? Is he going to buy all these clothes? You have to know that the store sells high-end brands, and the price of each item is quite high for ordinary people. Yun Bei and Annie were as confused as the salesgirl. Although Feng Chengyuan is the general of the 7th Legion, there are many reports about him every year, but if you ask how many people really know what he looks like, very few are there, because he stays in the military all year round, and even if there are activities, he rarely participates and does not accept interviews. There are very few photos of him circulating on the star internet, and all that can be found are distant views. He is extremely mysterious. Yun Bei knew Feng Chengyuan because they had met briefly when they were discussing their engagement. Annie didn't know Feng Chengyuan's identity, so when she saw Feng Chengyuan's intimidating aura and the aura of a superior in his every move, she had a lot of guesses in her mind. She quietly leaned over to Yun Bei's ear and whispered, Bei, who is he? Yun Bei was in a bad mood, so she naturally responded unhappily, who else could it be? All her close friends knew that she had been engaged to Feng Chengyuan. The main reason was that Feng Chengyuan was a popular general in the army at that time, and her engagement to Feng Chengyuan was enough for her to brag about for a long time. But who could have known that Feng Chengyuan's mental power would soon go into a coma, and he slept for more than half a year. When he woke up, he became a cripple, making Yun Bei feel that all the boasting she had shown off had become a laughingstock. However, seeing Feng Chengyuan now, Yun Bei inexplicably felt an emotion well up in her heart, which she couldn't explain. Especially when she saw Feng Chengyuan being so friendly to Yun Miao, she felt even more unwilling that her things were being taken away. Feng Chengyuan finally stopped after pointing out a dozen pieces of clothing. Just when everyone thought that Feng Chengyuan would buy those clothes with a wave of his hand, Feng Chengyuan spoke directly. I don't want any of these. After these words were spoken, the salesgirl could no longer maintain her expression. Yun Miao, who was standing next to her, almost laughed out loud because she suddenly thought of a joke she had seen before. In her heart, she mourned for the salesgirl for a second. She didn't know if her mental endurance would increase after today. Just as Yun Miao was thinking this, he heard Feng Chengyuan speak again. Pack up everything else except these and send it to this address. As he spoke, Feng Chengyuan simply operated the optical computer, and a message was sent to the shopping guide's work optical computer. He had been checking the messages on his computer, and then he said something without looking up at the salesgirl's reaction. He waited for a long time without hearing any answer, so he frowned and looked at the salesgirl. Why? Still have questions? Feng Chengyuan spoke with some displeasure. Are people outside so inefficient? The shopping guide was so shocked that she was numb. She opened her mouth slightly, as if she had been greatly stimulated. When she heard Feng Chengyuan's voice, she finally reacted and asked in a trembling voice. Sir, are you telling the truth? The salesgirl's heart was in turmoil, and the smile she was trying to put on was trembling slightly. Oh my God, how luxurious this is. No, I'm going to post it. The shopping guide was secretly complaining happily in her heart, but when she saw Feng Chengyuan's face darken again, she didn't dare to ask any more questions. She hurriedly went to pack the clothes according to Feng Chengyuan's instructions. Yun Miao was also shocked. She had never thought that Feng Chengyuan would make such a decision. Why? For a moment, doubts filled her mind, making her feel a little dizzy. No need for that. There are too many to wear. Besides, the clothes are so expensive, you can't be so wasteful. But Feng Chengyuan obviously had no intention of changing his mind. Yunbei and Annie were speechless at this moment. Let's not talk about why Feng Chengyuan did this. Just talking about the price of the clothes here and how much money it would cost to buy so many clothes is already beyond the reach of the two young ladies. Seeing that she couldn't change Feng Chengyuan's decision, Yun Miao stopped trying to persuade him. She knew that Feng Chengyuan was definitely doing this to help her. She was touched and felt that Feng Chengyuan was truly a friend worth making friends with. Feng Chengyuan had no idea what Yun Miao was thinking, he just casually mentioned it after paying. When facing the enemy, you must learn to use the simplest method to deliver the most effective blow. Yun Miao. Yes, I understand. Why do I feel like I'm being scolded by the instructor? The salesgirl quickly handed a black card to Yun Miao respectfully, and said enthusiastically, since the customer has spent a certain amount of money in our store, I hereby activate my exclusive VIP membership. You will enjoy the priority to purchase new products of the season in our store. In addition, there are. After quickly listing a series of discounts, the salesgirl was so upset that she couldn't calm down for a long time. Black card membership is not something you can activate just like that. If you happen to get one once in your lifetime, it will be enough to brag about for a long time. Feng Chengyuan was too lazy to listen to all this. After Yun Miao took the black card, he prepared to leave. Yun Miao originally wanted to leave with Feng Chengyuan, but when he was about to leave, he stopped as if he thought of something. Feng Chengyuan looked at her in confusion. Yun Miao showed a playful smile and said, didn't you just say that when dealing with an enemy, we should use the simplest method to strike the most effective blow? She hasn't paid me back for making things difficult for me yet. Having said that, Yun Miao dialed the Yun family's number directly in front of Yunbei. Chapter 30. Don't cry then. At first, Yunbei didn't know that Yun Miao had called the Yun family. It was not until Yun Miao mentioned her name that she suddenly realized who Yun Miao was talking to. Are you talking to Dad on the phone? Yunbei had a bad feeling and asked tentatively. But Yun Miao ignored her and continued talking to the person on the other end of the line. I can't help you with the previous things, so you should find another way. You can't blame me for this. I wanted to help you, but who told your good daughter Yunbei to bully me? Although I am also a daughter of the Yun family, she always targets me like this, and I am very sad. When I am sad, I don't want to do anything. You go and ask her to find a way to solve this matter. After Yun Miao finished speaking, he hung up the phone without hesitation, not caring how angry the person on the other end would be. She raised the laptop in her hand and gave Yunbei a meaningful smile. Okay, you'll know who I'm talking to later, but I hope you don't cry then. What do you mean? Explain clearly. Yunbei had a bad feeling and hurriedly asked Yun Miao, but got no response. Seeing Yun Miao turn and leave, she was about to chase after him, but her father's communication interface popped up in front of her, and her heart sank immediately. She hurriedly answered the call, and the next second Yun Songchung's face, which was so dark that it seemed to be dripping with water, appeared on the screen in front of her. Get back here right now. Yun Songchung didn't say anything, but Yunbei could feel the suppressed anger in his tone through the light screen. She couldn't help but shiver and almost cried out of fright, but her extremely aggrieved mood received no comfort at all because the call was hung up before she could even say a word. Yunbei felt nervous. Thinking of Yun Miao's call just now, she immediately understood what she said before she left. She was furious and wanted to find Yun Miao to ask him about it. However, when she looked up again, she could not find any trace of Yun Miao. At this time, Yun Miao and Feng Chengyuan had already entered the elevator and were ready to go directly to the parking lot. Yun Miao's good mood was ruined by Yunbei and Annie. He was not in the mood to continue shopping. After asking Feng Chengyuan's opinion, he decided to go back. Feng Chengyuan didn't say a word along the way. Yun Miao was a little unsure of his thoughts. After getting on the hovercraft, he hesitated for a long time before deciding to ask about his doubts. Does the admiral think that there is something wrong with what I did just now? Yun Miao just told Yun Songcheng that Feng Chengyuan would not help Yun Hao, and then he directed Yun Songcheng's anger onto Yunbei, which could be regarded as using Feng Chengyuan to take revenge on Yunbei. A person like Feng Chengyuan should hate others using his name to do things, right? Would he be disgusted by me doing this? Yun Miao was so worried that she didn't even dare to go see Feng Chengyuan. Unexpectedly, just when Yun was feeling anxious, he heard a faint chuckle. Yun Miao looked up in surprise. Although she did not see an obvious smile on Feng Chengyuan's face, she found that his expression was not as cold and distant as before. It seemed that he had become more popular without her noticing. Don't think too much. I don't think so. On the contrary, I think your approach is very good. Treat your enemies as ruthlessly as autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Feng Chengyuan spoke in a light tone. Yun Miao was stunned for a moment when he heard it, and then he started laughing. Thank you. Yun Miao looked at Feng Chengyuan sincerely, and felt a warm feeling in her heart. Although she has inherited the memories of her original body, she ultimately remembers that she is not from this world. The feeling of loneliness of being alone in a foreign land, although she has never thought about this before, does not mean that it does not exist. Especially after having to marry against her will, she actually had a sense of uneasiness deep in her heart that she herself had not even noticed. Now, someone suddenly stood up to help her and affirm her, which made Yun Miao feel that her heart suddenly had a place to rely on. That feeling may have nothing to do with the relationship between men and women, but it made her feel extremely at ease. Yun Miao's eyes were so intense that Feng Chengyuan felt a little uncomfortable. No one had ever looked at him with such a straightforward look. After all, the people he had been with before were all subordinates, and they would only look at him with awe, waiting for him to give them orders. Ahem. Although what you did just now was good, have you ever thought that it might anger the other party? Maybe he will come and cause trouble for you then. Feng Chengyuan's tone sounded like he was discussing tactics rather than talking about the Yu family, with whom he was related by marriage. Yun Miao shrugged indifferently and said, they will know the result sooner or later anyway. I just informed them in advance. Besides, it's not me who rejected them, right? Perhaps there was a slight change in his mentality, or maybe it was because Feng Chengyuan's previous behavior of defending him made Yun Miao feel the long-lost sense of security. Now that he was getting along with Feng Chengyuan, Yun Miao became more relaxed and active than before, and there was a hint of playfulness in his tone of voice. Feng Chengyuan was sensitive enough to notice this, and he did not feel disgusted at all. Instead, he felt that this way of getting along was more fun. The two chatted casually and soon returned to the general's mansion. On the other side, Yun Songcheng sent a message directly to call Yunbei back to the Yun family. As soon as they met, Yun Songcheng slapped the coffee table and shouted angrily, "Come here now." Yun Songcheng's face looked extremely ugly, as if he was on the verge of going crazy at any moment. Yu Qingru beside her also had a complicated expression, and there was a bit of disappointment in her eyes when she looked at Yunbei. Dad, Mom, what's wrong with you? Yunbei looked at this scene and felt a little scared, but she still walked up to the two of them and asked carefully. As soon as she opened her mouth, Yun Songcheng could no longer suppress his anger. He stood up and raised his hand to hit Yunbei, scolding her non-stop. "You're still asking us what's wrong. What on earth did you do? Do you know that your brother has been badly hurt by you this time?" Yunbei was so frightened that she screamed and quickly hid behind Yu Qingru, hunching her shoulders and trembling. Yu Qingru saw that Yun Songcheng was about to attack. Although she was also a little angry with Yunbei, she was her daughter after all. How could she bear to watch her get beaten? She could only stand up to stop Yun Songcheng and comfort him. "Songcheng, don't be angry, there." Yu Qingru wanted to defend Yunbei, but she couldn't say any more. She could only sigh and turned back to Yunbei with some sadness and said, "Your brother originally wanted Yun Miao to help persuade General Feng to help, and let Master Lang from the 7th Legion help debug the mecha, but why did you have to provoke her this time? She has directly refused to help. What will your brother do in this mecha competition?" Yunbei's heart sank when she heard this. She knew the matter was serious. Tears instantly filled her eyes and she admitted her mistake. "I'm sorry, Mom, I don't know. Facing Yun Songcheng's angry stare and Yu Qingru's disappointment, Yunbei felt both afraid and angry. She was afraid that she would be punished, and she was angry at Yun Miao for putting her in this situation. She hesitated and wanted to explain, but no matter how she spoke it seemed like it was her fault. How is this possible? In order to exonerate herself from the crime, Yunbei immediately decided to put all the blame on Yun Miao. Check out our playlist for more amazing novels. Chapter 31 Private Message. Yun Miao must have done it on purpose. I was just shopping with Annie today and met her in a store. I didn't provoke her at all. If you don't believe me, you can ask Annie. It's definitely not my fault. Yunbei's mind had never been so sharp, and she directly put the blame on Yun Miao. Because she knew that compared to Yun Miao, who had no feelings for her family, her parents would believe her more. Sure enough, after hearing what Yunbei said, Yun Songcheng no longer had any intention of getting angry with Yunbei, but his face was still terrifyingly gloomy. Yu Qingru also had an ugly expression on her face. She patted the frightened Yunbei and couldn't help muttering. "We were so good to her back then, but she never took us to heart. You even felt guilty about letting her marry General Feng instead of Yunbei, and even wanted to give her some of the family's property shares. Look at her now, does she take us to heart?" As she spoke, Yu Qingru became more and more angry. "The mecha competition will begin soon. Who should I ask to debug Howard's mecha? Who can compare with Master Lang?" Enough. Yu Qingru's nagging made Yun Songcheng's suppressed anger boil up again, but this time it was no longer directed at Yun Miao and Yu Qingru. Instead, all his anger was directed towards Yun Miao. "Humph, you have money but still can't hire a good mecha master to help you. Since she's not willing to help, there's no need to ask her for help." As he spoke, Yun Songcheng directly dialed the number of his exclusive lawyer and asked him to come to the Yun family immediately with the documents. He wanted to directly take back the contract that he had signed previously to donate Yun Miao shares. At this moment, he was somewhat fortunate. The transfer document that was supposed to be given to Yun Miao for signature as a gift at the wedding was not given to Yun Miao in the end because of Feng Chengyuan's absence and the wedding could not be held. It was therefore so easy to recall it now. Since she doesn't consider herself a member of the Yun family, then she shouldn't want these things. Yun Songcheng said this angrily, then turned and went to the study. After Yun Songcheng left, Yu Qingru finally couldn't hide the smile on her face. "That's great. This time it can be considered a blessing in disguise. At least that little bastard got nothing. It's a pity that my son has to suffer this time." Yu Qingru complained in her heart, and in a good mood she comforted Yunbei with a few words, then went to the greenhouse to enjoy a sunbath. Yunbei, on the other hand, looked at Yu Qingru's back with a bewildered look on her face, not understanding why her mother, who was so sad just now, suddenly became so cheerful. Yun Miao didn't know that she had lost something that originally belonged to her, but even if she knew, she probably wouldn't take it to heart. After all, although she is short of money now, if she is completely tied to the Yun family for profit, she would rather beg for food. Of course, now she doesn't even have the chance to eat even if she wants. After returning to the admiral's mansion, Yun Miao turned on her light computer and checked the live broadcast background. Today's events stimulated her and made her want to see how much money she had earned now. You won't know until you see it. It's shocking to see that the amount of live broadcast rewards is almost 200,000. If the platform's part is deducted, she can get half of the fee, which is nearly 100,000. 100,000 is not a lot, but it is not a little either. If you want to support Yun Miao alone, it is enough for 1 month's living expenses. Yun Miao took a look at the withdrawal requirements and found that there were not many restrictions, so Yun Miao withdrew his portion to his account and soon received the arrival information. She looked through her backstage information again and found that someone had sent her several private messages. The private message function of Moya Live is not open to everyone. Only when the reward reaches a certain amount can the private message function between the audience and the anchor be enabled. This is also to prevent some black fans from maliciously attacking the anchor. Since the private message was sent, he was obviously a big shot in Yun Miao's live broadcast room who was known for giving rewards. Yun Miao thought that he had nothing to do and was bored at the moment, so he started reading the private messages. Some of them were private messages sent from the Moya backend. One was the rules and regulations for registering an account, one was a congratulatory notice sent when the live broadcast was started, and another was a signing invitation letter sent from the backend. Yun Miao's eyes lit up. After reading the terms carefully, he felt that they were quite reasonable. He wrote down the contact information and planned to contact them when he was free. After reading those private messages, Yun Miao started to look at other ones. Soon she discovered that many of the remaining private messages came from the same person and were talking about the same thing. Host, I am the owner of the capital Xing Sui Han restaurant chain. My name is Wang Chen. I was lucky enough to taste the delicious food you made during a live broadcast and was immediately attracted by you. I sent you a private message to ask if you were interested in selling your recipes. If so, please contact me. My contact information is. The other party's attitude was very sincere, and he sent several private messages in a row. Yun Miao also took a look at the reward list, and this person was on the list, ranking first. Yun Miao took a look at the amount of the other party's reward and was instantly shocked. It turns out that the reason why I was able to get that money was that this person named Wang Chen made a 70% contribution. Yun Miao became a little hesitant about what Wang Chen said in the private message. She always thought that although the dishes she cooked tasted good, they were still inferior to those of real chefs. However, when she learned about the cooking level of people in this world, she suddenly realized that her cooking skills were among the best in the culinary world. This might be a good way to make money. After a moment of thought, Yun Miao's eyes lit up. Yun Miao thought about it and sent a message back. ? Let's make an appointment to meet. It was unknown whether the other party was paying attention to Yun Miao's news at all times. Not long after Yun Miao's reply was sent, another private message was sent. Then let's do it tomorrow. See you at Genting restaurant. The other party then sent the specific time and place for the meeting. Yun Miao arranged the time in his mind and agreed when he felt it was okay. In the remaining private messages, there were people who claimed to be scouts. They thought Yun Miao had great potential to be a singer and wanted to sign Yun Miao. However, Yun Miao was not interested in this. Celebrities in this world are not as popular as they were in the previous life. After all, the live streaming industry is prevalent, and people prefer to watch passionate battles and don't care much about those vase-like celebrities. Naturally, there are not many people willing to enter this industry. Of course, there are many superstars among the stars who have attracted national attention, but those people all have other identities without exception. For example, Su Wuyan, a superstar who has attracted many fans today, has another identity as the mecha builder of the Third Legion. After ignoring the private message, Yun Miao flipped through it again. Seeing that there was no other important content, he closed the backend. Chapter 32 Mermaid Tribe. Perhaps it was because they had gone shopping together that the relationship between the two of them had invisibly become closer, or perhaps it was simply because Feng Chengyuan's help made Yun Miao grateful. In short, the relationship between the two of them seemed less strange and distant than before, and became a lot warmer and closer. In the evening, Yun Miao went to the kitchen again and made a few simple home-cooked dishes to eat with Feng Chengyuan. Although Feng Chengyuan was still taciturn, Yun Miao no longer felt that Feng Chengyuan was a cold person. Instead, she felt that he was just cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Yun Miao took the initiative to tell Feng Chengyuan that he had received a private message from a fan. He also mentioned that someone wanted to buy the recipe he had, and tentatively asked Feng Chengyuan for his opinion. If it were in the past, Yun Miao would never dare to talk so much to Feng Chengyuan, but now she feels that it is a good idea to ask Feng Chengyuan for advice on some decisions she cannot make. Feng Chengyuan did not show any impatience. He seemed to be concentrating on eating without paying any attention. However, when Yun Miao asked for his opinion, he always gave a very sharp answer, which benefited Yun Miao a lot. After finishing the meal and taking a short break, it was time to massage Feng Chengyuan's legs. Because of the previous embarrassment, Yun Miao felt that he had become thicker-skinned this time and perhaps he could deal with the matter calmly. However, when that time comes, those who should blush will still blush. Feng Chengyuan inadvertently noticed the blush on Yun Miao's face, and his heart seemed to be slightly touched. He couldn't help but look at Yun Miao twice more. But before Yun Miao looked up, he seemed to have noticed something and shifted his gaze first. The waiting time seemed a bit boring, especially when the two of them were alone together. Yun Miao felt that the atmosphere seemed to have become strange. In order to break this strange atmosphere, Yun Miao began to take the initiative to talk to Feng Chengyuan. Yun Miao accidentally asked about the butler Wu who had left and felt a little confused. It was obvious that butler Wu was the only one taking care of Feng Chengyuan's daily life. So what was it that required butler Wu to handle it? But when asking about this, Yun Miao clearly felt Feng Chengyuan's expression, which turned cold for a moment, but soon returned to normal. In response to Yun Miao's question, he gave a vague and perfunctory answer. I just went back to my ancestral home. There is no more answer. Yun Miao then realized that Feng Chengyuan actually had other family members behind him. However, judging from Feng Chengyuan's reaction, it seemed that he didn't care about those so-called family members, or even seemed to be very disgusted with them. Why is this again? It's not Yun Miao's fault that she didn't know these things. The main reason is that she couldn't find any information on Starnet even if she wanted to, so she inadvertently asked something she shouldn't have asked. Fortunately, Yun Miao ended the topic before the atmosphere became awkward, so that the two people's just ice-breaking relationship mode would not return to the previous state. After the massage, Yun Miao returned to the room and locked the door. Then he slipped into the bathroom and started filling the bathtub with water. The door was locked to prevent anyone from coming in. Although there were only her and Feng Chengyuan in the entire general's mansion now, and Feng Chengyuan should not do such a thing, locking the door was actually just a way for Yun Miao to comfort herself. The bathtub was soon filled with water, and Yun Miao couldn't wait to transform into a mermaid and enter the bathtub. The moment she entered the water, Yun Miao felt a sense of satisfaction both physically and mentally, making her feel so comfortable that she wished she could stay in the water forever. Yun Miao stretched lazily in the water, then lazily lay down on the edge of the bathtub, closed her eyes and took a nap. After an unknown amount of time, her breathing gradually became even, and she slowly slid into the water. The next morning, Yun Miao woke up from the water again. Compared to the panic at the beginning, Yun Miao has now become accustomed to and likes the feeling of sleeping in the water. After leaving the bathing pool, water droplets were still rolling down the silver-blue fishtail, but in the blink of an eye, the extremely beautiful fishtail turned into a pair of long, straight legs. Those legs are white in color, with firm and delicate skin. If they were placed in front of a leg control enthusiast, he would probably exclaim, "What a pair of legs!" She stepped barefoot on the floor, and the coldness of the ground made her small toes move unconsciously, and the next second she saw a magical scene happen. Just coming out of the water, there were inevitably a lot of water stains under her feet. However, Just now, the water stains on the ground quickly left the ground in the blink of an eye, and then gathered into a small stream of water, flowing upstream and falling back into the bathtub. When she looked again, there was no water stain under her feet. Yun Miao took a look and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, but he did not feel any surprise at this scene. It was because the magical scene just now was all done by her. As her mermaid blood became more active, the memory of her mermaid heritage became clearer in her mind, and she understood more. In her memory, the mermaids were once a very prosperous race, living peacefully with humans under the same sky. The mermaids seemed to be blessed by God. Both men and women were born beautiful, and those who were gifted even had the ability to control water. Perhaps because they were greedy for the mermaids, beauty or suspicious and fearful of their powerful abilities, after thousands of years of peace, a racial war broke out between humans and mermaids, and the mermaids have lived deep in the sea and have never appeared since then. However, this could not stop the encroachment of humans. Mermaids were constantly captured and kept in captivity by humans, and finally died in death cages. When humans discovered that they could not tame the beautiful mermaids and finally wanted to appease them, they discovered that there were only a few mermaids left. When the last mermaid died in front of everyone, there were no more mermaids in this world. It has been nearly 700 years since then. After Yun Miao learned about the past of mermaids in the inheritance, he discovered that he actually possessed the power to control water. Even among the mermaids, this is a unique ability. But now I'm probably the only mermaid in this world, right? Yun Miao complained in his heart and tried to control the water flow for a while before he left the bathroom and went to the cloakroom to change clothes. For breakfast, Yun Miao made a simple sandwich with milk, and she also squeezed a glass of fresh juice for Feng Chengyuan. Feng Chengyuan looked up at Yun Miao several times while eating, and there seemed to be a flash of doubt in his eyes. Strange, why do I feel like there's something different about Yun Miao today? But the face is still the same face, the person is still the same person, what's the difference? Yun Miao didn't know what Feng Chengyuan was thinking, and told him that he had an appointment with someone. Upon hearing this, Feng Chengyuan rarely spoke and reminded Yun Miao to be careful. Yun Miao responded with a bright smile. Chapter 33 Miss Yun, only you can help me. After saying goodbye to Feng Chengyuan, Yun Miao left the general's mansion. Today she was going to meet the man who claimed to be the owner of Sui Han restaurant. They had agreed to meet at Genting restaurant, so Yun Miao directly borrowed a hover car from Feng Chengyuan for transportation. Feng Chengyuan did not answer at first, but was silent for a moment, which made Yun Miao think that he was unwilling. Unexpectedly, he said the next second that Yun Miao should go to the garage to choose a car she liked, and it would be her means of transportation in the future. Yun Miao was not polite. After all, she had learned her lesson after the torture of hiking down the mountain last time. Are you crazy if you don't ride a hover car? After setting the automatic driving, Yun Miao sat in the car with peace of mind, waiting to reach the destination and enjoying the scenery of the new world along the way. Soon, a mechanical prompt sound came from the hovercraft, and the automatic driving had arrived at the destination. In front of me is a 60-story building. Although it is shorter than the commercial buildings in the central area, it contains a series of stores such as catering, entertainment, leisure and shopping. After getting out of the car, the hovercraft automatically entered the garage. Yun Miao glanced at the time and walked straight into the gate. Sui Han's boss Wang Chen had already sent the agreed meeting address to Yun Miao's light computer, so Yun Miao could find the correct location according to the prompts on the light computer as soon as he entered. After taking the elevator to the top floor, Yun Miao walked directly to a seat by the window. Wang Chen is a somewhat chubby young man who just turned 25 this year. Perhaps because of his body shape, he often attracts a lot of attention when he goes out. Therefore, he basically works on Starnet on weekdays and seldom appears in public. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted Yun Miao to see his sincerity this time, he would definitely not want to show up here in person. He had been here for quite a while, and every time someone walked by, he would unconsciously shrink his body, as if he was afraid of being looked at strangely. Just when Wang Chen looked at the time for the 10th time, a beautiful figure appeared at the door. After looking around, she walked straight towards this side. It was Yun Miao who had just arrived. "Hello, are you Mr. Wang Chen?" Yun Miao walked to the booth and asked hesitantly. It's not her fault for reacting like that, it's just that the other person's appearance is completely different from what she expected. She thought that since the other party was the boss of such a large chain, he should be a middle-aged man in his 30s or 40s. However, the man in front of her looked to be in his early 20s at most. Wang Chen was stunned for a moment as he looked at Yun Miao's face, then he immediately stood up and bowed 90 degrees to Yun Miao, which stunned Yun Miao. "Mr. Wang, what are you doing? I'm sorry, the fact that you came to see me shows that Miss Yun trusts me, so I think there is something I shouldn't lie to you about." When Yun Miao heard this, his heart skipped a beat and he instantly wondered if he was in some kind of danger. After all, that's how it was played on TV. Unexpectedly, the next words left Yun Miao speechless. "I'm not actually the boss of the Sui Han restaurant chain. My father is the boss. I asked Miss Yun out this time because I really wanted to cooperate with her, but not in the name of Sui Han." Wang Chen's voice became lower and lower as he explained, and in the end he didn't even dare to look at Yun Miao's expression. "After all, I was the one who concealed this matter first. Compared to myself, an unknown rich second generation, Sui Han's name is more famous and more convincing." Yun Miao remained silent, and Wang Chen's voice gradually became quieter. He didn't know how to explain it, and the atmosphere between the two of them became awkward for a moment. Wang Chen's heart suddenly sank to the bottom. Sure enough, I am still just like what my dad said, I can't accomplish anything. Feeling inexplicably aggrieved, Wang Chen did not blame Yun Miao. He just lowered his head and comforted himself silently. "I said, it's not a big deal." Just when Wang Chen was about to give up completely, he suddenly heard Yun Miao's mumbling, and his heart, which was about to become silent, became active again. Then, Yun Miao saw that the fat young man, who was so depressed just now that his shoulders were about to slump, suddenly raised his head, and there seemed to be light in his eyes instantly. "Miss Yun is willing to forgive me?" Wang Chen asked hesitantly. Yun Miao nodded and sat down opposite Wang Chen. "I'm a little curious, what's going on here? Would you mind telling me, Mr. Wang?" Yun Miao thought that since he was already here, he might as well listen to what the other party had to say before thinking about what to do next. Seeing that Yun Miao was willing to give him a chance, Wang Chen certainly had no intention of hiding it any longer and directly told him the whole story. Wang Chen's father is a strict man. He founded Sui Han Enterprise from scratch and now has chain restaurants all over the world. He can be said to be a very successful businessman. Wang Chen has been influenced by his father since he was a child and has a special fondness for food, which can be seen from his body shape. However, it is precisely because of his body shape that he is afraid to go out and becomes a otaku. This makes the decisive father Wang very distressed and he vows to correct this bad habit of his. For this reason, Wang's father forced Wang Chen to sign an agreement with him. If he could not build a small business on his own within 3 years, he would have to drink nutrient solution for 10 years, could not touch any delicious food during this period, and would also lose half of his inheritance rights to Sui Han Enterprise. "I don't care about inheritance rights or anything like that. Anyway, my dad won't let me starve to death. But I can't drink nutrient solution for 10 years. That's absolutely not acceptable to me," Wang Chen said with great sorrow, and the look in his eyes when he looked at Yun Miao became like a dog's, full of pleading. "Ms. Yun, you are the only one who can help me now." Yun Miao twitched his lips and asked, "How can I help you? Do you want me to cooperate with Sui Han?" Wang Chen quickly waved his hand and said, "It's not with Sui Han, it's with my Genting restaurant." As he spoke, Wang Chen raised his hand to gesture at the surrounding environment. Yun Miao followed the movement of his hand and also looked around. The decoration of Genting restaurant is mainly silver and white, occasionally blended with some light blue tones, giving the overall feeling of being very quiet and peaceful. The whole restaurant is divided into 2 floors. The upper floor is an open-air dining seat. It is said to be open air, but in fact there is a glass dome outside, which does not block the guest's view at all. The first floor is ordinary seats, and only those sitting by the window can see everything outside. Yun Miao took a quick look. The Genting restaurant was very large, but there were not many customers. They were scattered in various corners, making the atmosphere of the entire restaurant seem a little depressed. If I want to revive the Yunding restaurant, I have to find a way to attract more customers, so I want to buy the recipes from Miss Yun. What do you think, Miss Yun? Wang Chen looked at Yun Miao sincerely, waiting for her answer, and his expression became a little nervous. Yun Miao pondered for a moment and then spoke out his thoughts. We can cooperate, but I want to cooperate in a different way. What way? I'll give you the recipe and I'll share the profits. Yun Miao's words surprised Wang Chen a little. After thinking about it, he expressed his concerns. As for the profit sharing, considering the current revenue of Genting restaurant, I'm afraid Miss Yun won't be able to make any profit for the time being. Since I said so, there is naturally a way to deal with it. Yun Miao smiled and blinked with a playful expression, which made Wang Chen blush. After being distracted for a moment, he immediately sat up straight and waited for Yun Miao's next words. Chapter 34. The anchor named Yun Miao. Yun Miao's method was very simple. She could cook many different dishes. In order to satisfy her appetite, she learned a lot from the 8 major cuisines. Not to mention using the food to support a restaurant, even using the food to support 10 restaurants would not be a problem. After the two discussed it, they finally followed Yun Miao's decision and used the recipe she gave as the signature dish of Genting restaurant. They would then introduce a new dish every once in a while to attract customers. This would not only increase the restaurant's popularity but also retain more customers. Wang Chen agreed with Yun Miao's idea very much, so the two of them discussed the details of the cooperation and the profit-sharing model, and finally decided to split the profits 50-50. Which meant that Yun Miao had invested in the company by means of a recipe. After returning, Wang Chen will send the cooperation agreement directly to Yun Miao's computer, and Yun Miao will just need to sign it. Even though this matter was settled, Wang Chen was anxious to go back and draft a cooperation agreement, and Yun Miao also had to go back to prepare the recipes that needed to be handed over to Wang Chen, so after saying goodbye, both parties left the Genting restaurant. When I went downstairs, the electronic screen in the elevator was playing a news report. Mecha Master Li Jin appeared at the Capital Star First Hospital. Yun Miao took a look out of boredom, and saw on the screen a middle-aged man who looked to be about 40 or 50 years old, walked directly into the gate of the first hospital while being chased and interviewed by the media. The media staff wanted to continue chasing him, but were stopped outside by several bodyguards in black. They had no idea which floor of the hospital the middle-aged man named Li Jin had gone to. It is reported that Master Li had been living on Blue Star. Why did he suddenly show up at the Capital Star Hospital this time? Is there something wrong with Master Li's health, or is there some other reason? We don't know. A media person on the screen spoke to the camera in an emotional voice, and his expression seemed to show concern for Master Li's health. Yun Miao just looked for a moment and then looked away. She didn't know who the Mecha Master was, so naturally she didn't have much interest in him. After leaving Genting restaurant, Yun Miao took the hovercraft directly back to the admiral's mansion. However, what Yun Miao didn't know was that in the special ward of the first hospital, the person she had just seen in the video was now watching a video, and the person in the video was Yun Miao herself. That was a screen recording of Yun Miao's last live broadcast. In the video, Yun Miao was singing, Under the Sea, with great concentration. His emotions were so strong that everyone who heard it was immersed in it unconsciously. Li Jin was sitting on the sofa beside the bed with a very serious look on his face, and on the bed in the ward was half lying a beautiful girl with her jet black hair falling on her shoulders, making her delicate little face look even whiter. She looked a little nervous, with her head slightly lowered like a child who had made a mistake and was waiting to be punished. She would look up from time to time, but soon lower her head again as if she was afraid of being discovered. Next to her stood a short-haired girl, looking at the girl on the bed with a worried look on her face. After a while, Li Jin turned off the light screen and looked up at the girl on the bed. His face, which showed some traces of time, was full of seriousness, and his eyes were so sharp that it seemed as if he wanted to see through people. The atmosphere in the ward seemed to become stagnant. Even the short-haired girl standing next to him couldn't help swallowing and feeling very nervous when facing Li Jin. Oh no, is Uncle Li going to be angry? Just as the short-haired girl was complaining in her heart, Li Jin's eyes suddenly softened and he let out a long sigh. Man, it's Dad's fault. I shouldn't have left you alone in the capital planet. Over the years, I've neglected you too much and let you suffer loneliness all by yourself. It's Dad's fault. Li Man is Li Jin's only daughter. Since she lost her mother at the age of 6, she has been dependent on her father Li Jin. However, Li Jin is a mecha master. In his eyes, mecha matters are the most important. He often stays in the construction room for several days. Li Man grew up in such neglect day after day, and problems gradually appeared in her heart. She always denies herself, thinking that she is an unwanted child and is not recognized, otherwise why would her father ignore her? Such thoughts kept accumulating in her heart, slowly becoming more and more numerous and heavier, until Li Jin left the capital star for work and went to the blue star without taking her with him. The darkness in Li Man's heart finally broke out, completely swallowing up the light of her world. Fortunately, she had a good friend, Suya, who noticed that something was wrong with her and stayed by her side forever. Otherwise, Li Man would have no idea what she had done. Li Man did not let Suya tell her father about her condition, but insisted on treating her illness herself. However, the darkness accumulated over the years eventually overwhelmed her. In the dark night, she sat by the sea, ready to throw herself into the arms of the sea. But at the most critical moment, the anchor named Yun Miao sang a song to tear apart the darkness that was suffocating her, and sprinkled a ray of light on her, successfully stopping her. Li Jin had already learned about his daughter's condition from the doctor, and also realized how much harm his neglect over the years had caused to his daughter. Now, he just wants to make it up to his daughter. Uncle Li, Man has gotten much better in the past few days. Please don't blame yourself too much. Suya, who was standing by, saw Li Jin's face full of self-blame and couldn't help but spoke to comfort him. Man's situation. Recently, Man has been listening to the anchor's songs, and her mood has become much calmer. Even the doctor said this is an amazing thing. Suya briefly recounted Li Man's situation over the past few days, especially her love for that song. She would cry uncontrollably every time she heard that song, but after she cried, the smile on her face gradually increased. Even the doctor said this was a good sign. If this trend continues, Man's condition will gradually improve. Li Jin listened and felt very surprised. His world is filled with mechas and mechas only. He has never been involved in the currently popular live broadcast industry. However, after listening to Suya's words, he had an idea in his mind. Maybe I can learn more about it, so that I can have more topics to discuss with my daughter in the future. On the other hand, Yun Miao didn't know that one of his live broadcasts would accidentally save a life. If he knew, he would definitely be very happy. After she parted with Wang Chen, she boarded the hovercraft and prepared to return to the admiral's mansion. However, halfway through the journey, Yun Miao thought of the steam bake machine gathering dust in the kitchen, so she changed direction and went to the nearest supermarket. Chapter 35 Someone's mental power is rioting. This was Yun Miao's first time visiting a supermarket in this world. It didn't look much different from the previous ones, with rows of shelves still displaying a variety of goods, but many of those goods were products Yun Miao had never seen before, and there were also many classifications that surprised Yun Miao. Who would have thought that mecha accessories are sold in supermarkets? Shouldn't this kind of thing be in the hands of the military? When did it become so popular? In fact, Yun Miao was overthinking this. Hundreds of years ago, the Interstellar Alliance had already entered the mecha era. At that time, cutting-edge technology like mecha was naturally in the hands of the military. However, after hundreds of years of evolution, mechas have gradually become popular among the people. This is why people are so keen on mechas today. However, even if the Interstellar Alliance relaxes the restrictions on mechas, not everyone can use them. On the one hand, it is because the price is really expensive, and on the other hand, it also requires talent. Just like how human mental power is divided into levels, mechas are also divided into levels. From F to SS level, corresponding mental power links are required. Currently, the restrictions are on the permissions of A level and below mechas, while S level and SS level mechas are still controlled by the military. Of course, the mecha accessories that can be bought in the supermarket are basically low-end mecha accessories. That is, they are supplied to newcomers who are learning mecha manufacturing to practice. If you really want advanced mecha accessories, you still have to customize them from famous builders, or you can practice both by yourself, that is, learn construction and production, and then you can support yourself. Far away, Yun Miao curiously went to the mecha accessories area for a while, then quietly retreated, smacking his lips. So expensive. Would anyone really buy this kind of thing? Just as Yun Miao was thinking this, he saw two young men walk into the mecha accessories area together and start shopping. I felt like I was slapped in the face for some reason. Yun Miao looked at the two young men with a complicated expression, then turned decisively and went to the food area upstairs. The steam oven in the kitchen had probably never been used. Yun Miao had opened it and taken a look at it once before, and it was so shiny that it looked as if it was new as when it first came out of the factory. In addition to delicious food, Yun Miao also likes all kinds of snacks. She had wanted to make some cakes or cookies before, but she couldn't find what she wanted after looking around in the kitchen. So this time she came to buy some cake flour and other things so that she could make some snacks when she got home. After walking around, he finally found what he wanted. In addition, Yun Miao also selected several molds for making biscuits. Compared with cake flour and other things that were relatively easy to find, the molds took Yun Miao a while to find before he found them in a corner. Looking at his harvest with satisfaction, Yun Miao walked towards the cashier with the smart shopping basket. Nowadays, many people like to place orders for goods on the official website of the optical computer, but there are still people who like to go to the streets to buy in person, but the number is slightly less than imagined. When Yun Miao arrived at the cashier counter, he unexpectedly encountered some misfortune. The light screens in front of the other cash registers all lit up with reminders of suspended services. Currently, only one cashier counter was working. Yun Miao could only queue up in front of the only cashier counter that was still working. When Yun Miao walked over, there was a young man in his 20s queuing in front of him. He bought a lot of things and it took him quite some time to check out. He seemed to feel a little embarrassed, so he turned around and smiled apologetically at Yun Miao. Although he didn't say anything, his shy expression made it hard to blame him. Yun Miao looked up and gave the other party a kind smile. He raised his hand and made a "please" gesture, indicating that the other party should not mind it. The young man stared at Yun Miao's face for a moment, then he actually blushed. He looked a little flustered and turned his head back, not daring to look at Yun Miao again. Such an action made Yun Miao stunned. There is actually such a pure-hearted guy. After a while, the young man's things were finally settled, and he was about to leave with the smart shopping basket. Before leaving, he seemed to think of something, turned back and shyly said, "Sorry," to Yun Miao, and then hurried away. Yun Miao smiled slightly and didn't take the matter to heart. He just waited for the other party to leave, walked to the cashier counter and waited for the machine to automatically pay. Yun Miao had just paid the bill and was walking out with her things when she suddenly heard an alarm sounding all around, which scared her. What's wrong? What's going on? Yun Miao had never encountered such a situation before. Looking around, he saw many customers looking panicked and gathering towards a certain place in the supermarket. This made Yun Miao a little confused. Just when she was wondering, she saw several people in security uniforms coming in the opposite direction, all running hurriedly in one direction, and that direction was the supermarket exit. Quick, activate emergency protection measures and make sure the impact is minimized. Call the emergency service immediately and ask the hospital to send someone for support. It's really unlucky that someone's mental power would go mad. Didn't he know his condition before he left? Stop talking. Solving the current trouble is the most important thing. Quote. Several security guards ran past Yun Miao, and their conversation also reached Yun Miao's ears, allowing her to immediately guess what had happened. Someone's mental power suddenly went mad, and the supermarket's detection device detected the abnormal fluctuation of mental power, which caused the alarm to sound. Yun Miao was stunned for a moment before she reacted. She felt a little curious, as it was her first time to encounter such a mental disturbance. I heard that mental violence is a very dangerous thing, both for others and for the person himself. Once a person's mental power starts to surge, he will inevitably fall into a frenzy and be unable to control the release of his mental power. He will violently attack and destroy everything around him, and he may even collapse because he cannot withstand the crazy growth of his mental power. In this situation, anyone who gets close will be attacked, and if one is not careful, they may even be led by the opponent's mental power and a riot may occur. It can be said to be very dangerous. When the mental power erupted, the person was basically useless. Some people even died directly from the mental power eruption. Yun Miao suddenly thought of Feng Chengyuan. He had also experienced a mental turmoil before. Although such a powerful person survived the danger, his body also suffered great damage. Yun Miao was a little curious, and there seemed to be an idea tempting her to follow and take a look. However, did she really want to go through such a dangerous environment? Yun Miao hesitated for a moment, but curiosity eventually overcame her instincts, and she ended up slipping in the direction the security guards were going. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 36. It seems someone is singing. Quick, open the isolation device. Stop him, don't let him leave here. Wait, his mental power is extremely violent, and the isolation device has no way to completely. Yun Miao followed quietly and hid behind a counter a little further away, looking at the chaotic scene in the distance. I saw several security guards holding some device in their hands, facing a man with nervous expressions. They were clearly indoors, but there seemed to be a strong wind blowing there, blowing everything around, and the clothes of the security guards were also rustling. Yun Miao saw the person who was surrounded in the middle and immediately recognized him. Wasn't he the young man who had smiled shyly at him before? How come? Yun Miao was a little surprised and felt inexplicably regretful. That person looks gentle and shy, but now he has to suffer so much hardship. In such a dangerous situation, I wonder if he can survive without a miracle. Yun Miao watched from afar and saw the shy young man hunching his body slightly, shaking all over, and howling like a wild beast, as if he was in great pain. But no one could rescue him. The security guards were holding devices used to isolate energy from leaking out during a mental riot. After opening them, they were placed in the four corners. The unfolded energy light screens would isolate people who were in a riot state. Although it could not be said that the mental power could be completely isolated from leaking out, it could at least minimize the impact on the surroundings. Soon, a circle of light green screen unfolded, covering the shy young man. In an instant, the violent wind around him improved a lot, and the pieces of paper flying in the air slowly fell to the ground and scattered all over the ground, making the surroundings look messy. Several security guards were watching nearby. Their expressions were still solemn, and they clearly did not look very reassured. Where are the people from the hospital? When will they be back? I've just notified them. Someone will come to support us in about 5 minutes. 5 more minutes. 5 minutes is already very fast, just hold on. I'm afraid he can't hold on. After all, it's a human life. Quote. Because the security guards were some distance apart, their voices were raised a lot, and Yun Miao could hear them from not far away. Like several security guards, she felt some sympathy for the young man, but unfortunately she could not do anything to help him. Yun Miao was about to turn around and leave feeling a little disappointed, but just as he took a step he suddenly stopped. And many more. Perhaps, there is a way. Yun Miao has the inherited memories of mermaids in his mind, and among those many memories, there seems to be a description of the mermaid's talents. Mermaids are a very unique race. They have beautiful looks and voices that seem to be able to bewitch people. However, no one knows that the mermaids once had mental power that was stronger and more stable than humans. No one has ever experienced a mental riot. The reason may be that the spiritual sea is the same as the sea that the mermaids love deeply. The sea is always calm on the surface, but the depths are already turbulent. The mermaids who have lived in the deep sea for a long time have never been afraid of these. They have the ability to calm the wrath of the sea, and isn't the spiritual sea another ocean? Yun Miao closed her eyes and frowned slightly, trying to find out how to use the mermaid's talent in her mind. Thinking that there was someone over there who was experiencing a life and death crisis, she became a little anxious. Finally, she opened her eyes and her brows slowly relaxed. Found it. Yun Miao looked back, then took a step and ran quickly in one direction. She was so fast that even the smart cargo basket following her couldn't catch up with her. In the end, it lost its target and could only spin in place. The reason why Yun Miao ran away was not because she decided to give up the idea of meddling in other people's affairs. On the contrary, she did so because she wanted to help. She ran while looking for a place that would not be discovered by surveillance cameras, and finally found a blind spot of surveillance at a corner of the stairs on the 3rd floor. Yun Miao stopped there, took 2 deep breaths, calmed himself down, and then slowly closed his eyes. She clasped her hands in front of her chest and opened her mouth slightly. A chant that seemed to come from the distant sky slowly sounded, so ethereal that it seemed to be able to cleanse people's hearts. This was the method Yun Miao found from her memory. Although she did not find a way to rescue that person, she found a way to appease the anger of the sea. She thought maybe she could give it a try. After all, they all have a soothing effect, so maybe they are useful. The distance was quite far, and Yun Miao didn't know if her voice could be transmitted over there, but she couldn't do these things while under surveillance. After all, if others saw her actions while investigating the surveillance, they would either think she was crazy or that there was something wrong with her, and she would be in trouble. This is not the result Yun Miao wanted. So, this is the best way. While helping others, we also have to protect our own safety, right? As soon as Yun Miao started to sing, she was quickly immersed in that wonderful perception. She had her eyes closed, but it seemed as if images were flashing in front of her eyes. She looked carefully and saw the shy young man who was still in the midst of a mental chaos, and several security guards with ugly expressions around him. She felt like a wisp of drifting smoke, circling around the young man for a few times, and saw the young man's current state. His eyes were red, and his face and hands were covered with numerous blue veins. The red capillaries almost covered his entire face. How could the young man at this moment still look shy and kind? He looked like a madman who had lost his mind. Yun Miao was not afraid. Instead, he surrounded the young man and began to sing softly. Hum la la, la hum la la. No one can see such a scene. However, when Yun Miao opened his mouth, a faint voice began to come from all directions, melodious and elusive, making people unconsciously focus on the singing, wanting to listen carefully to where the voice came from and what it was singing. Strange, did you hear any sound? A security guard raised his head in confusion and looked around. After being reminded of this, the other security guards also discovered something. They frowned and echoed, "It seems like there really is a sound." "What is it?" "It's like someone is singing." "Are you crazy? Is there anyone in the mood to sing at this time?" "Hee hee, everyone is hiding in the safe zone, what are you afraid of?" This sentence caused several other people to sigh. "Hey, who made me take on this job? It's easy at ordinary times, but it's really tiring when there are problems. Now there are people who have mental riots in public. They are a little suspicious. Did they step with their left foot when they went out today?" Chapter 37 stopped. That ethereal and vague voice still lingers in my ears, appearing and disappearing, making it difficult for me to hear it clearly. Such sounds did not attract much attention from the security guards. They simply complained and stopped paying attention to it. After all, there were more urgent things to deal with at the moment. However, when they looked at the young man in the middle again, they suddenly discovered something different. Strange, is this isolation device so powerful? It can actually isolate all the overflowing energy. A security guard couldn't help but exclaimed, but after thinking about it, he immediately shook his head and rejected it. No, it wasn't like that just now. Old Lee, what are you mumbling about? You sound weird. Upon hearing this, the security guard called loudly immediately informed everyone of his discovery, and then several other people also exclaimed in surprise. It was not for any other reason, but because they also felt the same as before. Even with the protective isolation device turned on, they could still feel the spiritual energy constantly overflowing. But now, it was like the tide receding, slowly shrinking inside. Several people were stunned, and obviously hadn't reacted to what had happened. For a moment, their faces showed a look of surprise and confusion. Just like this, 2 or 3 minutes later, the isolation device that had been turned on suddenly stopped working. At the same time, the young man standing in the middle, who had a painful and ferocious expression on his face, seemed to have suddenly lost all his strength. He fell to the ground with a thump, motionless, like a dead body. Such a sudden change scared several security guards, and they thought that the isolation device was broken. However, when they saw the young man fall down, they realized belatedly that it was not that the isolation device was broken, but that it detected that there was no more manic mental energy overflowing within the range, and the isolation device automatically stopped working. How can this be? Several security guards looked at each other, unable to believe their own guess. So far, this has never happened, because such a result means that the rioting mental power tends to calm down, which makes it possible to stop the overflowing mental energy from overflowing. Several security guards had expressions of horror on their faces, and they all looked puzzled as they saw the young man lying on the ground. Just as a few people were tentatively stepping forward to check on the young man's condition, Yun Miao on the 3rd floor had already stopped chanting. Cough cough. When she stopped, she immediately felt a very dry feeling in her throat, which made her cough heart-wrenchingly. After a while, the coughing stopped and Yun Miao opened her eyes, only to feel dizzy. She swayed and quickly held onto the wall to avoid falling. I was careless. I didn't expect the consumption to be so huge. Yun Miao murmured, but found that her voice had become much hoarser, which made her stunned for a moment, and then she smiled bitterly. She just wanted to give it a try, but she didn't expect to enter into that mysterious feeling right from the beginning. She seemed to see the young man standing in a whirlpool, and there was some energy around him that seemed to tear him apart. He was struggling in such pain that Yun Miao felt a little sorry for him and wanted to comfort him so that he wouldn't suffer so much. Yun Miao was concentrating and had no experience as it was his first time trying it, so he overexerted himself a little. After resting for a while against the wall and feeling no longer dizzy, Yun Miao walked out from the corner. However, compared with her previous situation, she looked a little worse now. Because she had consumed too much of her energy, her face was frighteningly pale. When she walked, she felt as if her feet were not touching the ground. She also felt extremely tired and wanted to lie in the water and sleep until the end of the world. Chapter 38 Interesting. Yun Miao now wished he could go back and rest immediately, but he was still thinking about checking on the young man, so he could only drag his slightly heavy steps towards where the young man and the security guards were. When Yun Miao walked over, several doctors in white coats rushed in from outside. They were wearing protective equipment and were obviously well prepared. However, when they looked at the person lying on the ground in front of them and several stunned security guards, they were all confused. Didn't they say that someone suddenly had a mental outburst? Why is the situation on the scene different from what they imagined? The doctors all looked towards the person lying on the ground, and their expressions became regretful, as if they had thought of something. It seems that the patient never got to wait for their rescue. The doctors thought sadly. As for the fact that the destruction on the scene was almost non-existent, the doctors also believed that it was the person whose mental power was out of control. His mental power level was too low, and coupled with the isolation device, they did not think about other aspects. What a pity. He looks like a very young guy. Notify his family to come and claim his remains. Wait, what's going on? The tall and thin doctor, who had just squatted down to check on the young man's condition, suddenly exclaimed and turned around to talk to several other colleagues. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a young man in a white coat and gold-rimmed glasses walking towards him with his head slightly lowered, so he immediately changed the subject and shouted at that person. "Dr. Zhang, please come over here and take a look." The young man who was called raised his head, revealing a handsome face, but the impatience on his face more or less affected his original affinity. "I only went on missions with you guys because I was bored. Don't really think of me as a bricklayer." Zhang Zhou muttered to himself, regretting in his heart that he should not have gone to see the teacher today, otherwise he would not have been caught and forced to go on this mission. But although he thought so in his heart, Zhang Zhou did not really blame his teacher. Moreover, when he was called, although he looked impatient, he quickened his pace and walked over. "What happened?" Zhang Zhou squatted down to check, and was also stunned the next second. "Huh, not dead." Zhang Zhou was surprised, and his words shocked the other people as well. But when they arrived just now, the situation at the scene had already stabilized, and the person was lying there. Unless he was dead, or someone injected him with drugs to suppress the mental turmoil in time, how could it be possible to calm down so quickly? The tall and thin doctor immediately stood up and asked several security guards around him what had happened. The security guards were also very confused at the moment and answered whatever was asked, but their answers could not give the doctors any information at all. Zhang Zhou didn't care what other people were saying. He just quickly checked the young man on the ground and then grinned. "Interesting." His eyes lit up in an instant, as if he had found some new toy. "Have you finished asking questions? If you are, take the person back immediately." There was a hint of excitement in Zhang Zhou's tone. At this moment, he could no longer remember that he was complaining about himself just now. Now all he could think about was how to get the teacher to agree to transfer this person to his private laboratory after he returned. Chapter 39 Strange, where are the people? The young man was quickly put on a medical stretcher, and the doctors were already eager to take him back for research, no, to take him back for treatment. After a simple handover with a few security guards, the tall and thin doctor started the stretcher and walked out with the men. The others followed one after another, but Zhang Zhou lagged behind, still taking his time. Yun Miao saw that the matter was over and the doctor took the young man away, so she put her worries at ease. Although she didn't know how much effect what she had done before would have, at least the person was still alive, which was good enough. Yun Miao couldn't wait to go back and rest, so he didn't care about anything else and quickly left the supermarket with his things. As soon as Zhang Zhou left, Yun Miao walked out of the supermarket and headed towards the parking lot in another direction. Zhang Zhou, who was waiting for the doctor to send the young man to the ambulance, looked at him casually out of boredom and suddenly showed a puzzled expression. "Hey, isn't that?" Zhang Zhou murmured, not sure whether he had just seen Feng Chengyuan's newly married young wife, but the figure he saw just now really looked like her. "Dr. Zhang, we should go now." When Zhang Zhou was thinking, he heard a shout from behind. Zhang Zhou immediately regained his composure, turned around and got on the ambulance. The next second, the ambulance took off with the sirens blaring, and then flew away with a roar. Yun Miao didn't know that anyone was paying attention to her. After getting on the hover car, she slumped down on the seat. Although she was very tired, she still insisted on setting the automatic driving of the hover car. After the hover car took off, she leaned back in the seat and took a nap. In a trance, Yun Miao didn't know how much time had passed. When he heard the smart reminder sound in his ear, he suddenly woke up and found that he had returned to the admiral's mansion. He quickly got out of the car and took his things back to the house. Yun Miao didn't even bother to tidy them up, and went straight upstairs to his room. As soon as Feng Chengyuan walked out of the room, he saw Yun Miao, but she didn't seem to see him. She walked in a hurry and looked very unhappy, which made Feng Chengyuan frown slightly. "What's going on here? Did something happen outside?" Feng Chengyuan recalled the trouble Yun Miao had encountered outside before. If he had not appeared in time that time, the consequences would have been disastrous. Could it be that some blind creature is causing trouble for her again? Thinking of this, Feng Chengyuan's eyes darkened in an instant, and even he himself did not realize that at this moment, his whole body was emitting a low pressure, which made people shudder. Seeing Yun Miao return to the room and close the door, Feng Chengyuan hesitated whether to go over and ask Yun Miao if he had encountered any trouble. But given his personality, it is simply unimaginable for him to take the initiative to show concern for someone. It would be nice if Wu Su was here. Feng Chengyuan murmured with emotion in a low voice, thinking that if Butler Wu was here, he could ask Butler Wu to inquire about the situation now, and he wouldn't have to worry about it here. It's a pity that Butler Wu went back to the old house, and I didn't ask him about the situation there. However, every time he went back, there would always be a lot of trouble, so it was normal that Butler Wu couldn't come back in time. Feng Chengyuan was thinking distractedly. After a moment, he finally took the initiative to start the wheelchair and slid towards Yun Miao's door. Forget it. After all, she has been taking care of herself wholeheartedly during this period of time, so it wouldn't hurt for me to take care of her a little. Feng Chengyuan convinced himself in his heart. After arriving at Yun Miao's room, Feng Chengyuan raised his hand and knocked on the door, but there was no response from inside. Yun Miao. Feng Chengyuan knocked on the door again and instantly raised his voice and shouted, but there was still no response from inside. What happened? Feng Chengyuan frowned as if he was thinking about something. After a moment, he raised his head and his eyes became much sharper. Did something happen? I looked at her face just now and she seemed a little pale. Could she be sick? And now that she didn't respond, could she have fainted? Feng Chengyuan thought silently, looked at the door handle and hesitated for a moment, and finally made up his mind to put his hand on it. I tried to open it, but found that the door was locked. Feng Chengyuan simply moved the position of his fingers and placed his thumb on a slightly concave spot on the handle. There was a slight mechanical prompt sound from the door, and then the locked door immediately opened a crack. He is the owner of the admiral's mansion, and with his authority he can naturally open every door in the admiral's mansion. Feng Chengyuan paused, then opened the door and entered the room. After Yun Miao returned to the room exhausted, the first thing he did was not to lie down on the bed, but to rush into the bathroom, turn on the faucet of the bathtub, and start filling the bathtub with water. While waiting for the water to fill up, Yun Miao turned around and locked the door. At the moment, she just wanted to lie in the water for a while, and locking the door would make her feel more at ease. The water level in the bathtub rose quickly, and soon the bathtub was filled with water. Yun Miao could not wait to take off all the restraints on his body, jumped into the water, and turned his legs into a fishtail. Lying in the water, Yun Miao breathed a sigh of relief and couldn't help muttering, "Finally I'm alive." On the way back, Yun Miao felt extremely thirsty due to lack of water. She felt as if her skin was about to crack and it was very uncomfortable. She also felt as if her legs were about to turn into fishtails. Fortunately, she controlled herself. Otherwise, if she was discovered outside, she might have been sent away for research as an alien. Now that he was finally able to soak in the water, Yun Miao felt relaxed, and his fish tail was also released. The feeling of joy was simply indescribable. The feeling was so comfortable that Yun Miao slipped into the water without realizing it. She closed her eyes and fell asleep peacefully. Therefore, she did not hear Feng Chengyuan calling her outside the door, and she did not know that Feng Chengyuan had appeared in her room a moment later. Looking around, Feng Chengyuan only saw an empty room and no sign of Yun Miao, so he looked at the cloakroom and the balcony again, but still could not see Yun Miao. Strange, what about people? Feng Chengyuan pondered, and his eyes finally fell on another door in the room. Since there was no one in the room, that was the only place I hadn't looked at. When Feng Chengyuan arrived at the bathroom door, a moment of hesitation flashed through his mind, but in order to confirm Yun Miao's safety, he still reached out and knocked on the bathroom door. "Yun Miao, are you in there?" Feng Chengyuan didn't hear any sound from inside, so he called a few more times. Just when he suspected that Yun Miao had fainted in the bathroom, he finally heard a sound coming from inside. Something crashed to the ground, as if something had fallen. Then there was a scream, which instantly made Feng Chengyuan, who was paying attention to the movements in the bathroom, feel nervous. Yun Miao, what's wrong with you? Chapter 40. There's something wrong with these netizens. Yun Miao was originally lying in the water to rest. The comfortable feeling made Yun Miao feel drowsy. However, just when Yun Miao was about to fall asleep, she heard someone calling her, which woke her up all of a sudden. Yun Miao opened his eyes under the water and listened carefully to the movements around him. However, because he was in the water, the sounds were not so clear to his ears. So Yun Miao immediately popped his head out of the water, and the next second he heard a familiar voice calling his name. It's Feng Chengyuan, and judging from the location of the sound, it seemed to be just outside the door. Yun Miao was startled, and thinking that she was lying naked in the bathtub, she quickly got up to get the bathrobe hanging beside her. However, she made a mistake in her haste, and accidentally dropped the bathing supplies placed beside the bathtub all over the floor, and even the bathrobe she had got accidentally fell to the ground. She tried to pick it up in a panic, but forgot that she was still in the form of a mermaid. When she left the bathtub, she brought out a lot of water. In addition, the fish tail was slippery, so she slipped uncontrollably and fell to the ground. What? Pain! Yun Miao felt like tears were about to fall out. What frightened her even more was Feng Chengyuan's voice outside. Yun Miao, what's wrong with you? Feng Chengyuan's hand was already on the bathroom door handle, and just as he was about to open the door to check the situation, Yun Miao's voice rang out again. I'm fine, don't come in. Yun Miao rubbed the place on his fish tail that was hit and spoke in a wrong tone. Outside the door, Feng Chengyuan silently withdrew his hand. Although he had doubts, he did not ask any more questions. Since Yun Miao himself said that everything was fine, he knew that his previous worries were unnecessary. However, Feng Chengyuan had no intention of explaining why he opened Yun Miao's locked door. He simply turned around and left the room without saying a word. After Yun Miao finished rubbing the fish tail, he reluctantly turned the fish tail into legs. He checked it again carefully and found that a large area of skin at the waist and hips was red. Yun Miao got up and put on his bathrobe. He wondered why there was no sound outside. He opened the bathroom door and looked outside. Sure enough, Feng Chengyuan was no longer there. It was a close call. We were almost discovered. Yun Miao breathed a sigh of relief, but did not dare to go back into the water, fearing that such a dangerous situation would happen again. Although I wasn't able to stay in the water for a long time, at least I had soaked in the water, and the tiredness I felt was much less than before, when I no longer felt like I was dying of thirst. After changing his clothes and lying on the bed, Yun Miao finally had the mind to think about what happened today, mainly summarizing his experience of using his mermaid talent for the first time today. It seems that ability is still a bit difficult to use now. Yun Miao sighed, because she knew that the extent to which she had previously exerted her abilities was not the limit of the mermaid's talent. If it were divided into levels, it would only be a little more than the beginner level. However, just by using that little bit of strength, she became thirsty, which was obviously due to some overdraft. When the mermaid's talent is fully released, it can calm the rage of the sea. So, it's because I'm too bad. I wonder if I can make progress if I practice more. Yun Miao rolled around on the bed twice, then went downstairs to the flower garden out of boredom. He had previously obtained consent to let him help take care of the flowers and plants there, so he would come to take a look every day. However, for some reason, the flowers and plants here still looked wilted and dying. Yun Miao didn't recognize those flowers and plants, but that didn't hinder her enthusiasm for growing flowers. She came to the flower garden to take care of the flowers and plants, and didn't know that Feng Chengyuan was also paying attention to her on the balcony upstairs. I was wondering if Yun Miao had fallen in the bathroom, but now I saw Yun Miao busy in the flower garden with full energy. I felt relieved. But when he withdrew his gaze, Feng Chengyuan paused, and a strange thought flashed through his mind. Why do I care so much about her? Feng Chengyuan frowned slightly and pondered for a long time, but could not find the answer. Yun Miao saw that a lot of weeds had grown in the flower bed, so he personally started to remove the weeds. However, looking at the unknown flowers and plants in the flower bed, Yun Miao was a little worried that he would accidentally pull them out. After all, the flowers and plants in the flower bed were planted by others. If he pulled them out, others would definitely be angry if they knew. Yun Miao squatted in front of the flower bed, holding his chin and thinking for a moment, and finally came up with a good idea. Even if you don't know, maybe someone else knows. Why not gather your wisdom and ask others to help you figure out which ones you shouldn't pull out? Thinking of this, Yun Miao stood up and ran back to the room with brisk steps. After taking the live broadcast equipment, he happily returned to the flower garden. He opened the live broadcast ball skillfully, and the next second several bright lines flowed across the entire ball. Then, accompanied by a beep prompt sound, the live broadcast ball was successfully turned on and rose from Yun Miao's palm. A light screen with a live broadcast interface popped up on the optical computer simultaneously, floating in front of Yun Miao, allowing her to see everything in the live broadcast room at a glance. The previous live broadcast allowed Yun Miao to accumulate some fans, so when Yun Miao started the broadcast, people soon came one after another. I saw the anchor lady again, so happy. Closing square bracket. Miao Miao seems to be even more beautiful, she is simply a fairy. What song are you going to sing today? Can you please sing the song, Under the Sea, that we sang before? I really like it. I will record a holographic version of it this time. Closing square bracket. The above, didn't you read the forum? You deserve the holographic collector's edition. Closing square bracket. Hey, it's not broadcasting indoors today, where is Miao Miao? Closing square bracket. Question mark. In the live broadcast room, the audience started chatting as soon as they came in. Someone noticed the environment Yun Miao was in today. However, because Yun Miao turned on some blur settings, the audience could only see the picture within a few meters around Yun Miao. Anything farther away was blurry. But just this was enough for everyone to notice the difference, and they started asking questions. Yun Miao took a look at the content of the barrage, selected some answers, and then talked about his purpose. I started the show today to ask for your help. You can see the environment around me. I am next to a flower bed. I am going to weed the flower bed later, but I don't know some of the flowers and plants. So I want you to help me check if there are any that cannot be pulled out. Yun Miao said this with a sweet smile, which immediately made the live broadcast room lively. Question mark. Protect Miao Miao sweetheart and reward the anchor with a star. Question mark. Miao Miao Miao, give the anchor a shooting star as a reward. The south wind knows my intention and gives the anchor a spaceship as a reward. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Little squid rewards. A series of rewards floated across the light screen, making Yun Miao a little confused. I didn't do anything just now, did I? I didn't do anything. Yun Miao opened her big watery eyes and blinked innocently, watching the barrage of comments quickly scrolling by on the screen. I can't take it anymore. I'm captivated by the host's smile. Please marry me. I'm willing to give you 3 mining stars as a betrothal gift. A rich girl suddenly appeared. Wait, a girl. Closing square bracket. Am I the only one who cares about what the anchor is actually doing? The anchor is actually going to weed himself. Closing square bracket. Host, listen to me. This kind of thing can be handled by a housekeeping robot. You should hold a small whip in your hand, not a sickle that will cut your hand. Wait, I think I saw something that shouldn't be there. Comrade Little Whip, there's something wrong with you. Question mark. The comments were moving too fast for Yun Miao to keep up with, so she simply turned on the light brain's function of randomly selecting voice broadcasts, which instantly made things much better. However, when she heard those inappropriate comments being broadcast, although the voices were not loud and were only loud enough for her to hear, Yun Miao was dumbfounded. There's something wrong with the netizens this time. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.